Han Li's Wuxia Adventures. Chapter 822, Killing Duan Wuya. After 2 days of running, Duan Wuya had already turned deathly pale. No matter what, he wasn't able to escape from Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to kill him no matter what. They were both aware that only one of the two would survive after this ended. Duan Wuya continued slapping his gourd with his hands to increase his speed. The holy marks on the gourd were dazzling, and Duan Wuya had reached the Ganyu region, but unfortunately, his pure qi couldn't power the gourd to its fullest anymore. Otherwise, he would have managed to escape. Duan Wuya's pure qi reserves were already almost empty after 2 days. At that speed, I need 2 more hours to reach the East Sea Dragon Palace, and my pure qi reserves can only last long enough for 2 more hours, thought Duan Wuya, trying to control his pure qi. Unfortunately, he was slower now, and the rock was inching forward closer and closer. Duan Wuya had no choice but to struggle for his life. Lin Feng was, as before, standing on the rock's back, and his entire body looked like a sword. It seemed that his condition hadn't changed during those 2 days. He didn't move, he wouldn't even close his eyes. Duan Wuya was feeling desperate when he looked back at Lin Feng. Nobody was able to influence Lin Feng at this juncture. Duan Wuya had to die for what he did in the past. They had already reached the East Sea Empire. Duan Wuya was flying downwards, hoping to draw people's attention. There were many people on the ground watching the two silhouettes, but after sensing the Tian-level rock's qi, nobody wanted to interfere. The wind created by the rock's wings felt like razor blades on their bodies. Duan Wuya couldn't shout Lin Feng's secret chaotically either, because he had to focus on his safety and be extremely prudent. Talking would only distract him. Duan Wuya had achieved so much in this life, how could he die now? Someday, he would take control of the East Sea Dragon Palace and would become the ruler of the East Sea Empire. The buildings of the floating island appeared in Duan Wuya's field of vision. The island was extremely vast. Duan Wuya suddenly felt hope again. He breathed deeply. He had used so much energy that he could barely breathe. He wanted to shout, but he didn't possess the strength to shout. Bzzzzz, a terrifying storm had invaded the atmosphere because of the rock's wings. Many people on the island raised their heads when they sensed it and saw the pursuit. Duan Wuya had used his last bit of pure qi but couldn't make the holy marks shine anymore. A buzzing sound spread in the air as the gourd moved a little bit more forwards. Duan Wuya was soon going to arrive in the northern palace. There were extremely strong Tian-level cultivators inside. Bzzzzz. Zzz, the Tian-level rock didn't flinch while it followed Duan Wuya. If Lin Feng made a mistake in the East Sea Dragon Palace's territory, he would die. No matter what, Lin Feng had to kill Duan Wuya. Duan Wuya? Finally, when they arrived in the northern palace, some people recognized Duan Wuya. Some people in the sky asked Duan Wuya, "What's going on?" Duan Wuya looked deathly pale. He didn't say anything and just passed out in front of them. Duan Wuya knew that those few people were doomed. As expected, those people died in the rock's claws 2 seconds later. "Save me!" Duan Wuya used all of his pure qi to shout loudly, begging for help. He then immediately fell down in the gourd. However, people heard him from very far away. What's going on? A few Tian-level cultivators heard his voice and stood up in the blink of an eye and rose up in the air. They were astonished when they saw Duan Wuya, for he had come back from the mysterious world, and on top of that, alone and chased by someone. Stop! A few silhouettes appeared in front of the rock. Its qi invaded the entire atmosphere. It was extremely sharp, its wings were extremely sharp as well. Rumbling sound spread in the air. One of the Tian-level cultivators got slapped by the rock and was propelled far away. Besides, Lin Feng jumped off the rock's back at that moment. The qi of 1,000,000 swords appeared in the atmosphere, and it seemed like his entire body had turned into a sword. Who dares to come cause trouble in my palace? In the distance, a terrifying voice spread in the air, piercing through Lin Feng's eardrums, so much so that it hurt. However, Lin Feng's sword energy was as vigorous as before and just as dazzling. Sword formula, man and sword fusion, Lin Feng's body turned into a sword. It seemed like he and his sword had become one. Lin Feng obtained the jade. Slash. The terrifying sword chi struck his back. Duan Wuya shook from head to foot and couldn't speak anymore. He was dead. You want to die, shouted the voice in the distance furiously. Surprisingly, someone dared to enter the East Sea Dragon Palace and kill their people. What a humiliation for their group. Boom! The rock bombarded a few Tian-level cultivators and flew back to Lin Feng. It then grabbed him and left again at full speed. Where are you going? A silhouette arrived just as quickly. The person shook their hand and in a flash, green coffins appeared. They launched out at Lin Feng. If they caught him, he'd probably die. The rock turned around and broke the coffins with its claws. Even though it wasn't Lin Feng's pet, it perfectly understood that its little sister and Lin Feng's relationship was incredible. If Lin Feng died, their mother would be furious. The coffins turned into vines which surrounded the rock's wings and tried to prevent it from flying. Moron! Break, shouted the cultivator with the coffins. Their voice sounded like that of a dragon. They wanted to kill the Tian-level rock. Sirrr. Sirrr. Blood appeared as the rock began losing feathers, which slowly fell from the sky. E. The rock emitted a furious sound. A terrifying light appeared around it as it flapped its wings again. It could still fly at an incredible speed. The one wearing the dragon robe wasn't ready for that. That Tian-level beast was too strong. Its wings had been injured severely, but it could still fly, on top of that at its full speed. The dragon robe-wearing cultivator couldn't catch up with him anymore. However, he was convinced that the rock wouldn't be able to fly for long. He jumped towards the rock and then heard a voice behind him, "Qingmu, what's going on? The rock has been injured, it won't be able to fly much longer. It has the green coffin dragon chi on its body now, so it should be chased and killed," shouted the Qingmu Dragon King furiously. In a flash, many people started chasing the rock. After that, Qingmu grabbed the gloomy gourd in the sky and yelled at the cultivators playing chess, "Someone invaded our palace and killed one of the purple golden dragon king's disciples." How audacious! Those people were stupefied. The purple golden dragon king was one of the rulers of the islands. How audacious! Qingmu put the gloomy gourd in front of him and looked inside. He was stupefied. The others were astonished too. What an incredible treasure! "That is," whispered Qingmu. He then raised his head, glanced at the others and said, "A precious treasure from the mysterious world." The one who had just been killed came from the mysterious world. They had finally left the mysterious world. However, why had he been chased to death? What happened? Lin Feng obtained the jade, recalled Qingmu. His heart started pounding. The one who had chased him was called Lin Feng. He had also entered the mysterious world and had obtained the jade. "Jade Emperor," said all those people at the same time. Their hearts were pounding. Indeed, Duan Wuya's words definitely meant that Lin Feng had obtained one of the Jade Emperor's treasures, either a monstrously powerful weapon or an incredible skill. They didn't know that Duan Wuya had meant to say that Lin Feng had obtained the Jade Emperor's palace. Chapter 823, Escape. Those from the East Sea Dragon Palace didn't know the most about the Jade Emperor, but they knew that the people from Jade Heaven were his offsprings. They could also guess that the great Emperor's grave that was the mysterious world was the Jade Heaven's ancestor. It was because of this understanding that the strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace paid particular attention to those from Jade Heaven. Back when Duan Wuya said the word, Jade, they immediately thought of the Jade Emperor. Even though they hadn't correctly guessed what Duan Wuya meant to say, they at least knew that the emperor's grave was discovered and the one who had killed Duan Wuya was called Lin Feng. That Lin Feng had obtained one of the Jade Emperor's treasures. The one who was killed was a Xian-level cultivator and was the Purple Golden Dragon King's disciple. He came back to the Dragon Palace but the others, including the Tian-level cultivators, haven't. Qin Mu said to others, which made them frown. Something terrible has happened. They were guessing the situation. The emperor's grave had appeared and something terrible probably happened afterwards. They wanted to know what happened. Were they still hunting treasures? Why were their soul jewels still intact? It meant that they were still alive, but maybe they were stuck in the emperor's palace. Qin Mu continued to say, chase him. If we capture him we can understand the whole story. Indeed, we have to catch him. Their eyes turned to the retreating Lin Feng. Very quickly, many people from the East Sea Dragon Palace rose up in the air. A terrifying qi was floating around them. There were many Tian-level cultivators amongst those people. At the same time, others from inside the East Sea Dragon Palace began investigating Lin Feng. They wanted to know everything about him. The rock had been injured by Qin Mu but it could still fly. Its wings were bleeding profusely and it was losing altitude. Get back into the tower and have a rest so that you can heal. Lin Feng told the rock. He put the rock back in the tower and flew himself. He soon landed on the ground in the middle of the East Sea Empire and walked into the middle of the crowd. The economy in average quality empires was booming so there were people everywhere. In East Sea, the East Sea Dragon Palace was almost like a holy grounds. It was like the Lake Tian-Chi of the Tian-Chi Empire but Lin Feng didn't feel like admiring the East Sea Empire. Even though he was in the middle of the crowd, he was still moving at full speed. He had to leave the East Sea Empire as soon as possible. Lin Feng changed his qi and put his hand on his face. In a flash, Lin Feng completely changed and turned into another person. He looked a bit yellow as if he were sick. It was precisely the mask he had obtained from the old man back then. It didn't take long before a monstrously powerful qi was flying above Lin Feng's head. Those people were quick, it might not be that easy to leave the empire. The only thing Lin Feng could cherish was that Duan Wuya hadn't had the time to say anything before his death. People just thought that he had obtained one of the Jade Emperor's treasures. If Duan Wuya had managed to say that Lin Feng obtained the emperor's entire palace, the consequences would have been absolutely terrifying. The Zun cultivators of the East Sea Dragon Palace would have come out to kill him. The people in the sky kept turning around in the sky as they inspected the ground. Lin Feng had decided to walk slower, just like the other normal people. He was walking normally and sometimes glanced at the people in the sky, looking surprised as if he didn't know what was going on. However, Lin Feng soon became worried. Those people weren't flying around anymore, instead they were staring at the ground from the sky as if they were sure that Lin Feng had landed. If he hadn't put the mask on, they would have found him already. In fact, it was really that way, they could sense the qi that Qin Mu left but it was extremely weak. However, it was enough for them to know that Lin Feng had landed. The only problem was that they couldn't recognize him. The rock has disappeared and we can't see Lin Feng anywhere. He's probably using a special trick, a Tian-level cultivator suggested after pondering for a moment. Qin Mu's qi was still there yet weak, which meant that either Lin Feng or the rock was in the middle of the crowd. Maybe the Tian-level rock had turned into a human being. Everybody, disperse, an ice-cold voice rang suddenly. A heavy pressure invaded the crowd, surprising most everyone. The strong cultivators of the East Sea Dragon Palace were extremely brutal. Nobody dared to offend or disobey them. It didn't take long before people started dispersing. There were many people so things were a little chaotic. The strong cultivators were sensing the qi move around when one of them pointed to a direction and said, "There, chase that person, the qi comes from over there." Everybody stopped walking, that person yelled extremely loudly, making the entire atmosphere shake. "Everybody, escape, the East Sea Dragon Palace people are going to kill us," someone shouted, and everybody started panicking. "Die," the furious voice in the sky shouted. Immediately after, a hand bombarded the atmosphere and crashed on a few people, killing them. That made the crowd panic even more. The leader of the group, a Tian-level cultivator, pulled a long face. Things were getting too chaotic. In such circumstances it would be too difficult to find Lin Feng. The group landed on the ground and dispersed. The Tian-level cultivators all moved in the direction that they last felt the energy. They frowned and walked in another direction. They came across a wall but didn't see anyone. On the other side of the wall there was a person sitting on the ground. They looked like a homeless person. Have you seen anyone walk around here?" a Tian-level cultivator asked while staring at that person on the ground. They raised their head, their face was yellow and sickly. Their chi was also extremely weak. "I saw someone pass by," the sick-looking person said. The Tian-level cultivator gazed into the distance to a grave and took a few steps, but stopped again. There was a problem. He was walking away, but Qing Mu's chi was getting weaker again. An idea suddenly hit him. He turned around and sharp lights were flashing in his eyes. He decided to walk back to that sick-looking person. However, he only saw a silhouette land in front of him which had a terrifying energy. There was a terrifying black hand which aimed for his head. "You!" shouted the Tian-level cultivator furiously while blocking the attack with his forearm. But when the hand reached his arm was cut off and the hand crashed onto his head. The deadly energy spread through his entire body and corroded his body. He then turned into nihility. He had been unable to block the attack. That silhouette was none other than Lin Feng, and he was able to kill the Tian-level cultivator in the blink of an eye thanks to his wind walk agility technique. Afterwards, he moved back to the other side of the wall. Boom boom. A terrifying chi invaded the entire atmosphere. More people were breaking down the wall and running in that direction. However, when they arrived on the other side of the wall, they found no one, not even leftover chi. Everybody there was walking normally or rushing to do their own things. The group of strong cultivators were confused. Not everybody could sense Qing Mu's chi. In that group of people, the only one who could sense Qing Mu's chi was the Tian-level cultivator who Lin Feng had just been killed. Chapter 824, Hunting. A silhouette was riding a blue wave in the air. He was wearing a dragon robe. They stood above the East Sea looking indifferent. The waves under their feet were moving with the wind. There were a number of people around him, all wearing dragon robes but of different colors. They looked dignified and majestic in their own way. Their chi was great like that of heroes. Surprisingly, apart from the purple golden dragon king, there were two other dragon kings including Qing Mu. Between those three dragons kings, Qing Mu had the lowest status. The others were the Zun dragon cultivators and the ruler of the main central dragon palace. That palace was found in the middle of the other four, the dragon ruler. The dragon ruler had heard that someone had obtained one of the Jade Emperor's treasures and was extremely interested. At such a high level, he dreamt of becoming a real emperor. He hoped that he would one day rule over the continent and become one of the emperors of the continent. Then the Ganyu region would just be a tiny territory in his eyes. The Jade Emperor's treasures inevitably contained imperial chi which would prove helpful to him. Even though he was the dragon ruler, he admired the emperor. In the eyes of real emperors, everyone else was insignificant. Of course, back then, the demoniac emperor was an exception. He had the power to crush the Jade Emperor and terrify everyone else in the continent of the 9 clouds. Qing Mu, have the cultivators from the 4 dragon palaces left already? Asked the dragon ruler while looking at Qing Mu. He slightly bowed and replied respectfully, Dragon ruler, they have already left and are looking for Lin Feng. They will capture him alive. Okay, the dragon ruler said while nodding, and then added, remember, nobody can know about the treasure, everybody who already knows has to keep their mouth shut. And you guys can't chase him yourself, otherwise, it will arise suspicion. We understand, said Qing Mu and the others. They had to remain calm and detached at this crucial moment. They had to stay quiet about Lin Feng's secret. The Emperor's treasures had to be acquired by the East Sea Dragon Palace. They couldn't let the other influential groups know about the treasure. Otherwise, a great war would start. Capturing Lin Feng would be even harder if other people knew about it. It was because of this that the people of the East Sea Dragon Palace were being overcautious and discreet. They weren't too worried, they had sent the 4 dragon generals who were the second strongest cultivators in the region, right after the Dragon Kings. Besides, they had also taken the 4 Dragon Kings' beasts along. They were cultivators who had reached the top of the Xian Qi layer and possessed incredible Tian-level beasts with them. Lin Feng would never be able to escape them. Lin Feng wasn't showing himself because he knew that the people from the East Sea Dragon Palace were everywhere in the empire and were looking for him. He hadn't flown in the sky since putting away the rock, now he could only rely on his wind intent to run faster. He didn't dare stop for even a second. Surrounded by all these strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace, the situation was very dangerous for him. After half a day, Lin Feng managed to leave the East Sea Empire and arrived in a vast jungle, but he couldn't stop to rest yet. Roar! In the horizon, a wild beast roared and a terrifying qi could be felt. Lin Feng was startled and pulled a long face. Lin Feng ran towards a dense shrubbery and buried himself inside. He could sense the bestial qi getting closer. His eyes turned dark and the world around him became gray. Roar! Roars kept spreading as crackling sounds could now be heard. Pieces of wood on the ground broke not far from the shrubbery where Lin Feng was hiding. A cruel and ferocious-looking flood dragon appeared. It was walking slowly and the qi it exhaled was scary. A cultivator wearing a dragon robe was riding the dragon, they were probably from the East Sea Dragon Palace. Shit, here they are again, cursed Lin Feng. That beast or even the cultivator on its back might be able to sense his qi. Lin Feng could see everything in his head and could see that the one riding the flood dragon held a dragon spear. They were slowly walking towards him. Lin Feng felt nervous, he had to prepare for the worst. He couldn't use the Jade Emperor's palace unless he was sure he could imprison his opponent and had to make sure nobody was in the surroundings, otherwise they would see it and he would have to resort to one of his most terrifying methods and turn into a demon again. PSH. In the distance, the strong cultivator heard a sound and abruptly turned around, jumped off the dragon and started running at full speed. His clothes were fluttering furiously in the wind. The beast looked at the shrubbery for a second and then turned around and followed the strong cultivator as well. Lin Feng used the opportunity to retreat. The strong cultivator was terrified by that sound, he didn't seem prepared. Lin Feng was running at full speed and soon left the jungle. He arrived on a big road and was a village not far away. There were horses and a group of people on the road leading to the city, it looked like a wedding ceremony. At that moment, Lin Feng looked in the sky and saw a black dot getting closer. It was a flood dragon with a silhouette wearing a dragon robe again. Incense. Lin Feng glanced at the wedding ceremony, jumped forwards and became on with the wind. He released wind intent which turned into a sharp and strong wing. The people at the wedding ceremony narrowed their eyes because of the wind. The wind quickly stopped and they continued walking. What a strange wind, those people thought. They hadn't realized what happened before their very eyes. At that moment, in the sedan chair carrying the bride, someone else had appeared, Lin Feng. Lin Feng put his hand on the bride's mouth and said, "Don't make any sounds. I'll only stay here for a few seconds." The beautiful bride nodded and Lin Feng removed his hands from her mouth. That woman looked quick-witted, pure and innocent. Even though it was her wedding ceremony, she wasn't smiling. It was actually the opposite, she had tears in her eyes. Was she being forced to get married? The woman looked at Lin Feng but said nothing. She smelt really good, which made Lin Feng feel comfortable. It was precisely when he smelt her perfume, Lin Feng stood up. He hoped that her odor would cover his own and that the enemies wouldn't find him. "Everybody stop," someone shouted outside. Lin Feng suddenly looked panicked and stopped breathing. The woman looked at Lin Feng and her eyes twinkled as if she had understood something. The furious dragon general outside was staring at the sedan chair and slowly walked towards it. Nobody dared stop him when they sensed his incredible chi. The dragon general arrived next to the sedan chair and opened the curtains. He looked inside and saw a beautiful and slim woman wearing wedding clothes. She was looking at him very curiously yet a little bit nervous. The dragon general moved his hand away from the curtains and turned around. He walked towards his flood dragon and jumped up into the sky again. Then he disappeared in the horizon. "You can come out," the woman said after the dragon general left. She was blushing. Lin Feng came out from the backside of her red wedding dress and stood up. "Thank you so much," said Lin Feng shyly. Normally he wouldn't put someone in that situation, but given the circumstances, he had had no choice. If the dragon general found him, he might have died. Lin Feng started to leave the sedan chair but the woman grabbed his arm. "You offended people from the East Sea Dragon Palace, yet you still dare go out." Lin Feng looked at her and said, "You know them. Of course, they rule over the East Sea Empire, everybody worships them in the region," the woman said, sounding rather flattering yet her tone of speech sounded strange. Chapter 825, Lin Feng's Madness. "Although you say that everybody worships them in the region, from the way you say it, I have the impression that you don't fear them at all." "Perhaps, you don't like them at all," whispered Lin Feng. The woman looked at Lin Feng, her lips shook but she remained silent. Then she said, "They reign over this territory as well, nobody dares offend them here. You are very brave. Now that you have offended them you should stay here. If you leave, someone will find you. You should wait until we arrive in the village to run away." Lin Feng's eyes twinkled as he nodded back to her. He was very lucky this time. He avoided a catastrophe twice already and now he found someone who was willing to hide him. Lin Feng and the woman talked for a while. He learned why the woman didn't revere the people from the East Sea Dragon Palace. Apparently, she was from another village not far from this one and was being forced to get married. Those who had forced her family to accept the wedding had to because of their influence. One of their village members had joined the East Sea Dragon Palace and used that influence to bolster his entire village. Now they were tyrannizing everyone in the neighboring villages. Lin Feng heaved a long sigh. No matter where he went, people with power and influence always bullied the weak. "If I help you solve that issue, will someone try to exact revenge?" Lin Feng asked. "It would be useless. The one who wants to force my marriage is the East Sea Dragon Palace member's elder brother. So the younger brother will come to the wedding in person too. I've heard that he is extremely strong and has reached the top of the Xian Qi layer. In that village, nobody can challenge him." The woman sounded depressed while shaking her head and smiling wryly. Lin Feng remained silent. After a short time, the crowd arrived in the village. Lin Feng sensed the surroundings and noticed that there were several people from the East Sea Dragon Palace. They were walking around the village as if they knew to look for Lin Feng. The bridal party arrived outside a gigantic manor, where several people were waiting to welcome the bride. There were others to side who looked proud wearing their dragon robes. Someone opened the door of the sedan chair and the bride walked out. One of the East Sea Dragon Palace disciples looked at her face and nodded. She was beautiful enough for his fellow disciple. "Bro, you have good tastes," a young man said to another one before adding, "You should help me find a girl too." "Your cultivation is more important," the young man replied while shaking his head. The elder brother replied, "You're right. We are brothers, so there is no competition between you and I." Then he looked at the woman and shouted, "Hurry up and go see your uncle." The girl looked at him and said, "You two are brothers, so if you marry me, he will be my brother-in-law. We should have been introduced by now." "Shut the hell up," shouted the young man furiously while walking towards her. He immediately slapped her face, making her mouth bleed. He said, "You have guts. My brother is a disciple of the East Sea Dragon Palace, you are already lucky to see him. On top of that, you dare disrespect him. Go and greet your uncle." People around them were laughing. They didn't think this was rude. Being a member of the East Sea Dragon Palace was something to be proud of. The woman looked at her future husband and smiled coldly while shouting, "Do you want a wife or a slave girl?" The man remained silent. He was getting annoyed. If she hadn't been beautiful, he would have never wanted to marry her. "I am accepting you as my wife, that should be an honor for you. Don't act shameless now or else you will regret it during our honeymoon," the man replied coldly, but the woman looked just as angry as before. The proud-looking young man was surprised to see these people. He suddenly lost his arrogance and bowed in front of them saying, "Hello teachers." Teachers. The crowd was astonished. Those people must be core disciples of the East Sea Dragon Palace. They had an extremely high social status. The groom didn't think that his wedding would attract so many strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace. Now he was a bit scared. "You can continue what you're doing," one of them said indifferently. It seemed like they hadn't come to appreciate his wedding. They stared at the sedan chair and the people around it. It seemed like they were looking for something. Several people surrounded the chair. The groom nodded and looked at the bride again. He then shouted furiously, "These are strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace, hurry up and greet them with respect." "Moron," said the girl. The man was astonished. He raised his hand and got ready to hit her. "Don't," someone in the background said angrily. The man's hand stopped as he saw a young man approach him. "Who are you and who allowed you to open your mouth?" the man said irritated while walking towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't say anything. The man arrived in front of him and raised his hand. However, a hand then moved with incredible speed and knocked the groom away. "And you little coward, who allowed you to get married?" Lin Feng mocked. The woman was silent as she stared at Lin Feng motionlessly. The groom picked himself up and walked towards Lin Feng saying, "Don't you know who I am?" "You," said Lin Feng mockingly. Lin Feng raised his hand while the disciple smiled in a cold way. Lin Feng then released some terrifying qi that reached the very top of the Xian qi layer. The woman's face completely changed. She wanted to shout at him and warn him but wasn't quick enough. He raised his arm to block Lin Feng's attack but the cracking sound of broken bones was heard. His arm had been crushed and he was blown away from the attack. Everybody's hearts were pounding violently. Who was that guy? The bride was stunned. She was under the impression that Lin Feng was a villager or something like that who had offended the East Sea Dragon Palace. She would have never thought that Lin Feng was so strong. A genius? You mean a piece of dog shit? Cursed Lin Feng. A few silhouettes flickered. The proud-looking young man and some others appeared in front of him. They were staring at him coldly as they said, "You dare attack people from the East Sea Dragon Palace? Is the East Sea Dragon Palace all that great? I have killed so many of them already. But of course, I wouldn't mind killing some more." Lin Feng then punched again. This time, rumbling sounds could be heard everywhere as his attack oppressed everyone. Their faces were quickly filled with regret, but they didn't have time to do anything as they died instantly. Fire emerged from Lin Feng's body as he stomped the ground. The groom, his friends and family members behind him were lit on fire. That particular fire couldn't be put out. It wasn't long before they were reduced to ashes. How scary, thought some people speechless. Who was he? He was totally mad. The cultivators in the sky were watching the scene but didn't try to stop him. They were calmly observing the people burning to death. Lin Feng then suddenly rose up in the air looking quite conceited. He then shouted furiously, "Is the East Sea Dragon Palace so great? Look at how many people they sent to kill me." Then Lin Feng turned into a sword light and cut through all the spectating cultivators. After, Lin Feng disappeared into the horizon. "Chase him." A few silhouettes flickered. They were all members of the East Sea Dragon Palace and recognized that Lin Feng. The girl was stunned as she watched the silhouette disappear into the horizon. She would never forget that moment. Chapter 826, Demon Sword and Battling Against the General. Who is he? He is so strong that he can kill so many strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace, whispered the woman. She couldn't understand what just happened. The young man who had hidden with her in the sedan chair was actually so strong. More and more strong cultivators were appearing. Lin Feng, with his wind agility technique, could move with incredible speeds. Xian-level cultivators couldn't keep up with him. Those who were chasing Lin Feng had to all be Tian-level cultivators. "You cannot escape," someone declared coldly in front of Lin Feng. The man was a dragon general holding a dragon spear. He was sitting on a flood dragon, blocking Lin Feng's path. Lin Feng was sure that he was a strong cultivator of the Tian Qi layer because his Qi was too powerful. Lin Feng couldn't fight him on his own. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and his animal tower appeared. In a flash, a few terrifying Tian-level ferocious beasts appeared. "Attack!" Lin Feng said with a cold voice. He decided to sit on the rock which had already recovered a lot from its injuries. Roar! The violent bear attacked with its paws. Its steps made the entire atmosphere tremble. The dragon general looked down at the bear and then his silhouette flickered. His spear was like a flying dragon. A terrifying whirlwind appeared as he released some energies. Boom! The bear retaliated by throwing its paw at the dragon spear. However, its strength was destroyed by the whirlwind. Crackling sound spread in the air as the dragon spear penetrated the bear's claw. Apparently, it was a very powerful attack. Roar! The bear roared violently as it pulled back its paw. If it wasn't for that dragon spear, the bear might have had a chance. Now the flood dragon was about to devour the bear's paw. Crrr. Crrr. The dragon threw himself at the bear as it spat out poison. The dragon spear streaked across the sky as well. Lin Feng wasn't happy. He didn't want to fight against the dragon general right now. His beasts couldn't even stop him. They might all die there. Lin Feng slowly walked towards the dragon general and released demoniac lights. Die! Lin Feng said only one word. The dragon flood roared insanely as its gigantic body wrapped around the dragon general. Lin Feng released a terrifyingly oppressive and demoniac energy which surprised the general. He redirected his assault at Lin Feng. Lin Feng took another step forwards and released an infinite amount of sword energy. It contained level 7 sword intent and formed a gigantic sword. However, the spear defended and Lin Feng's sword was destroyed. The level difference between Lin Feng and the general was too great. However, Lin Feng didn't flinch. He moved forwards and raised his hands. A terrifying corrosive strength emerged from them. "You're too weak, you're far from being able to compete with me," the dragon general said. His entire body was surrounded by spear energies which were so powerful that Lin Feng's beasts couldn't get near him. "Grab him with your claws," Lin Feng ordered furiously while releasing a terrifying amount of demon energy. A gigantic black plate appeared above him. The energy it contained was extremely oppressive. A few letters were carved on it. It was a demon seal plate. Boom boom boom. The demon seal plate rose up into the sky and the sky turned dark. The dragon general felt pressured by the plate. The demon sealing plate was an extraordinary item. Crrr. Crrr. The demon sword emerged and emitted terrifying whistling sounds. This time, it didn't contain Lin Feng's intent. Instead, it left Lin Feng and flew away. It streaked across the sky and seemingly ran away. The pressure terrified the general, the oppressive energy was unbearable. He could only watch as Lin Feng jumped at him with a terrifying hand containing a corrosive energy. The hand crashed onto the dragon general's head and the general quickly died. Awe! The flood dragon behind him raised its head to the sky and roared violently. That beast belonged to a dragon king and it could despise the world with its strength. It wasn't participating in the battle between the dragon general and Lin Feng, but as the dragon general was about to die it released a terrifying storm. Those generals were very strong. In order to kill them, Lin Feng had to resort to the demon seal plate. Such a vast battle would definitely attract the other generals from the East Sea Dragon Palace. Lin Feng couldn't afford to linger there any longer. The flood dragons and the members of the East Sea Dragon Palace feared Lin Feng too, so they wouldn't chase him alone. After a little while, Lin Feng arrived in a vast place. It was probably an international territory not belonging to anyone in particular. Lin Feng was thinking about his demon sword. He had taken a risk and deployed it in order to protect himself from the dragon general. He used intent to counter the corrosive effects of the demon sword, however, it seemed like he missed something. This time, the sword didn't attack his determination, instead it decided to leave on its own. Lin Feng gazed into the distance. It had been a long time since he last used the demon sword, you could say they had an intimate relation. Even though the demon sword was dangerous, it was also a precious treasure. At that moment, the demon sword was peacefully lying down in an absolutely silent valley. There was terrifying bestial chi swamping the grounds. The sword was on the ground, calm and twinkling. It held some sharp chi but it didn't look demoniac at all. If Lin Feng had been able to see that, he would have been speechless. Next to the demon sword was a huge cliff with a stone plate near the edge. It contained a terrifying strength that could oppress anything, including the demon sword. On that gigantic plate, there were gigantic black letters which contained an infinite amount of strength. Everything now and then the demon swords would become agitated. However, when that happened the letters on the stone plate twinkled and the demon chi immediately disappeared. Chapter 827, Death Valley. After 2 hours, Lin Feng frowned. He could sense the energy from the demon sword but didn't know how far it was from him. He had been riding his rock for 2 hours but hadn't found anything. How many hours could he spend looking for the sword? The direction he was heading was desolate and isolated. There was no trace of human civilization and it was extremely calm. If the dragon generals found him there, he wouldn't be able to hide. It was good news that the sword didn't attack his determination this time. Perhaps he wouldn't need to seal it anymore. It was also the first time that Lin Feng was really able to kill Tian-level cultivators. Even though he had only reached the very top of the Xian Qi layer, he could now kill Tian cultivators at higher levels. It should be mentioned that the dragon general underestimated him and hadn't been so cautious. If he had taken Lin Feng seriously from the beginning, he probably would have killed Lin Feng. Therefore, no matter what, Lin Feng had to get his demon sword back. Even though his demon sword had a terrifying temperament, Lin Feng depended on it. After a long time, he gazed into the distance and found nothing at all. However, Lin Feng continued moving forwards. It wasn't long before he was stopped. In front of him was the silhouette of a dragon general holding spear in the sky. He looked cold as he released some chi at Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with murderous intentions. I'll never manage to escape, thought Lin Feng. What treasure did you use to kill the purple golden dragon general? That dragon general was upset. Let's fight and you'll see. Lin Feng retorted. The dragon general groaned coldly as his spear started shaking. In a flash, a whirlwind appeared and a sand tornado started. It quickly turned into a pure chi swallowing black cave. This time, you won't be so lucky, the dragon general said while jumping forwards. Lin Feng had the impression that the wind consisted of razor blades which were aiming to cut him apart. Wind intent, cut. The rock flew backwards. Lin Feng took out his demon seal plate to block the wind. Rumbling sounds spread in the air as the whirlwinds were stopped by the demon seal plate. "No wonder you were able to kill the purple golden dragon king, you have such nice treasures," said the dragon general who recognized the demon seal plate. He then jumped forwards and was again surrounded by a hurricane. That incredible wind passed over the demon seal plate and continued on towards Lin Feng. "Come back!" Lin Feng shouted furiously. The demon seal plate began to turn around, but the wind had already arrived in front of Lin Feng, so he couldn't block it with the tablet this time. Boom! A terrifying and majestic chi appeared suddenly. Imperial chi dashed to the skies. There were millions of rays of light. However, it disappeared just as fast as it came and the dragon general was immediately blown away. At that moment, a gigantic strength appeared above his head. The dragon general raised his head and saw a small heart in Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng threw it in the air and rumbling sounds could be heard. The atmosphere was trembling and the dragon general trembled while staring at the gigantic palace above his head. What was that? Lin Feng could control a palace. Boom boom boom. The palace crashed on the dragon general's body and stunned him. However, the gigantic palace quickly disappeared again. Lin Feng arrived above him in the sky, still holding his demon seal plate. The plate contained a terrifying oppressive strength, it seemed like the atmosphere had frozen around it. Boom! Lin Feng's attacks were coming one after the other, overwhelming the dragon general. The oppressive strength made the dragon general wake up. He didn't have the time to react though, as a gigantic hand containing deadly energies destroyed the atmosphere and a horrible shriek spread in the air. The dragon general's head was crushed but his body was still moving. However, the residual corrosive power of the deadly energies reduced him to ashes. That guy excelled at using speed. He had managed to move faster than me, so I had to use the palace. Now the chi of the palace is going to attract other people. I must find the demon sword as soon as possible, thought Lin Feng. Because the guy had come alone, Lin Feng was willing to continue taking risks. Without the palace, he wouldn't survive this bout. The rock was creating whirlwinds around itself. Lin Feng jumped on its back and they continued moving forward. As expected, shortly after they left, the two dragon generals and their flood dragons appeared, but Lin Feng was nowhere to be found. General Feng Sha was killed as well. There is a strong imperial chi left here, maybe that Lin Feng is using the Jade Emperor's treasure. Let's chase him, but let's be very careful, one of them decided. They then continued moving forwards and chased Lin Feng. Flood dragons were extremely powerful and their speed was terrifying. They were faster than Lin Feng's rock because their level was higher. In front of Lin Feng was the boundless and flat area, in the middle of which was a valley. That valley contained dead chi and roars were coming from it. Lin Feng stopped in the air and stared down at it. The demon sword chi was emanating from of the valley. Let's go, said Lin Feng, and the rock continued. After a short moment, they were in the middle of the valley and Lin Feng came across a tablet. Death was written on that tablet. Lin Feng moved his hand and made the grass covering some of the tablet move aside. Another word appeared on the tablet and Lin Feng could see the whole text. Death Valley. Lin Feng had arrived in the Death Valley. He had already heard that name in the past. Jun Mo, she had mentioned it in the past. Before going to the mysterious world, Jun Mo, she told Lin Feng that there was a gigantic demon seal plate inside Death Valley. Nobody dared to go into the Death Valley because they would probably die. However, the demon sword had ran there, so Lin Feng could only follow it. Boom boom boom. Lin Feng turned his head and saw 4 flood dragons and 2 dragon generals on his tail. Their chi was emitting rumbling sounds. However, they were far away and had stopped outside Death Valley. They wouldn't get closer and remained silent. Lin Feng had entered the Death Valley. That wasn't good. Did he want to die? In Ganyu, the Death Valley was considered very dangerous and a forbidden territory. Nobody went there because too many extremely strong cultivators had gone there in the past to see the Demon of Legends, but none of them ever came back. Chapter 828, Entering the Death Valley. The Dragon General slowly inched closer to Lin Feng and said, "If you enter the Death Valley, you're going to die. Lin Feng, give the treasure you found in the mysterious world and perhaps we can be friends, we would let you live." "Do you think I believe you?" Lin Feng said, smiling coldly. If he gave the palace to the enemies, they would immediately kill him for the same reason he killed Duan Wuya, to shut him up. They couldn't have anyone else knowing about that grand treasure. "You have no choice anyways, but don't worry, we will let you live. We will cripple your cultivation however," the other one said slowly. "I admire you guys. You fear that I'm going to go deeper into the Death Valley but you still look so calm and indifferent," said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. He had the Jade Emperor's treasure and those two were afraid that Lin Feng would take it into the Death Valley. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stopped and talked to him, they would have fought immediately. "If you enter the Death Valley, you're going to be killed by demons," said one Dragon General while smiling coldly before adding, "The demons in the Death Valley are terrifying. They can eat souls and control human beings, making their bodies become their own. At least, nobody really knows what's inside the Death Valley. It could be that everyone is still alive but not willing to leave. I must have hope though, because if I don't go inside, I will die by your hands." Whatever the enemies said, Lin Feng remained calm and indifferent. He couldn't act chaotically. "What do you want to do?" asked one of the Dragon Generals. "Move back a few kilometers and I will feel safer. Then I will leave and you will continue chasing me." Lin Feng offered with a resplendent smile on his face. If they moved back a few kilometers, he would have time to react. The problem was still the demon sword. What could he do about it? If he didn't enter the Death Valley, he would lose the demon sword. "Dream on," said one Dragon General furiously. If they moved back a few kilometers, they wouldn't be able to see Lin Feng anymore. "If I enter the Death Valley, will I still be able to give you the treasure?" Lin Feng replied, and the others remained silent. If Lin Feng entered the Death Valley, the treasure would become useless. The most annoying part was that the East Sea Dragon Palace people had already been seen in many places. On top of that, many people had died from Lin Feng's hands. They couldn't face the dragon ruler and the other higher-ups without bringing back something. "Okay, I accept," the other Dragon General said. He glanced at the other general and they said nothing more. They slowly moved backwards, they didn't want to make Lin Feng feel too nervous. The four dragons were following them as well. Bzzzzz, in the distance, a terrifying storm appeared around Lin Feng. Sand was floating around in the air preventing Lin Feng from opening his eyes. Boom! Lin Feng used his power to sense the surroundings and saw a terrifying storm containing a terrifying explosive power and pressure. "Go!" Lin Feng ordered the rock, putting it away and running into the depths of the Death Valley. Boom boom! A terrifying deadly energy crashed where Lin Feng had been a moment before. If Lin Feng had still been there, he would have died. Fortunately, he reacted quickly enough but he could still sense the deadly energy lingering in the air. He then continued moving towards the depths of the Death Valley. Someone appeared at the entrance of the Death Valley. He could move with incalculable speeds, he was wearing a beautiful and majestic robe, and his chi was incredibly strong. It was one of the Dragon Kings. The strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace were not feeling comfortable in front of him at that moment. He wanted to kill Lin Feng and take his treasure, but he hadn't thought that Lin Feng would notice and evade into the Death Valley. Now he was pulling a long face, he had failed. Even in the antiquity, many strong cultivators had entered the Death Valley and assumedly died inside. Anyone who entered would never be heard from again. Lin Feng took the treasure along with him inside, so nobody could possess the treasure now. At that moment, Lin Feng was being bombarded by the energies from the plate and ended up deep in the valley. Cough cough. Lin Feng was injured from the enemy's surprise attack. Woo, coming from halfway in the sky, there was a strange bestial sound that terrified Lin Feng. Lin Feng fell down deep inside the depths of the valley, soon sensing a powerful death chi approaching him. Lin Feng was probably going to die. The Death Valley, thought Lin Feng. He had just entered and could already sense the terrifying chi. Finally, Lin Feng landed on the ground. He was suddenly surrounded by many ferocious wild beasts. Their claws were emitting metallic sounds on the ground and their eyes were twinkling with sharp lights. Their entire bodies looked like sharp blades. People die but not animals, thought Lin Feng. Those wild beasts also had death chi surrounding their bodies. They almost looked like the living dead. It seems like the dead can live in this valley, thought Lin Feng. No matter, he was determined not to die in the Death Valley. Chapter 829, Demon Seal Plate. Those beasts were all staring at Lin Feng like he was food, their death chi was extremely thick. Lin Feng condensed his own pure chi, but he couldn't move fast enough as a powerful death chi crashed onto his body. Lin Feng thought about it quickly and realized that condensing pure chi would open the doors for death chi to penetrate a cultivator's body. The cultivator's bane, Lin Feng seemed to understand why everyone died here. Cultivators could only rely on their physical body and strength, which usually was underdeveloped. Crrr, a ferocious beast threw itself at Lin Feng. Lin Feng tested whether he could use the strength of the Harukas and found that he could. Suddenly, Lin Feng looked delighted. His hand turned into a gigantic hand and assaulted the beast. Rumbling sound spread in the air as the beast was propelled away. Lin Feng's hand felt numb after the exchange. Why was its body that hard? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and stared at the beast. Its body looked like steel, just like Lin Feng's body did after using the Haruka skill. Rrrr, the beast roared in a low voice as it stared back at Lin Feng. Its four paws stomped on the ground and it jumped towards Lin Feng. All the beasts around him were releasing death chi as well. Lin Feng felt extremely uncomfortable, like he was suffocating from their strength. Crrr. Crrr, many beasts threw themselves at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's eyes turned black like those of a demon. He made the strength of the Harukas rotate at its maximum potential. Go away, shouted Lin Feng furiously. He started punching in every direction. Rumbling sound spread in the air as the strength of the Haruka was rolling in waves. Boom boom, the strength of the Haruka crashed on their bodies and propelled them all backwards. However, the more terrifying beasts got up again. Their bodies seemed indestructible. Those beasts were way too strong. He looked at the beasts and they looked back at him in a cruel way. Lin Feng cursed out loud as he released his demon seal plate. Now a terrifying and oppressive chi emerged. The beasts looked terrified and emitted cries of alarm when they sensed that oppressive energy. All of them ran away. What a strange valley, whispered Lin Feng. Those beasts were all Xian-level beasts and on top of that, they were not high-level Xian beasts. Even so, it was impossible to kill them with his physical strength. It could be that the legends were true. If those beasts have a demoniac soul, then it would explain why they fear the demon seal plate. Thought Lin Feng while gazing into the distance. He could sense the demon sword's energies the closer he got the center of the valley. Lin Feng was walking with difficulty towards the depths of the valley because of the oppressive void. Void, that was death. There were many ferocious beasts in the valley and they all possessed death chi. Lin Feng's lungs burned from breathing in the death chi. Lin Feng was dying slowly. Because he wanted to avoid further trouble, he took back out his demon seal plate to repel the ferocious beasts. Lin Feng was walking when suddenly a wind picked up and a black silhouette appeared in the sky. Lin Feng raised his head and became afraid. There were crows everywhere, so much so that he couldn't even see the sky anymore. Their death chi entered Lin Feng's body and he turned black. Now he was dying even faster. The death chi from the millions of crows was incredibly oppressive. Lin Feng could understand why it was so difficult to survive the valley while only relying on pure chi. Using pure chi just accelerated the process. Lin Feng turned into a Buddha Shakyamuni and diffused magnificent golden lights all around. He looked pure and omniscient. The death chi was quickly banished and Lin Feng could inhale a little bit of fresh air. However, the Buddha's lights seemed to enrage the death chi, which turned into a hurricane and began to erode the Buddha's lights. Lin Feng continued to rotate the strength of the Harukas. At the same time, he continued running deeper into the valley. The crows above him didn't intend to let him off. They all followed him deeper inside. Lin Feng was getting desperate as he pulled out the Jade Emperor's heart. He threw it in the air and a terrifying imperial chi invaded the atmosphere, blocking the crows. Lin Feng hid under the palace while he ran forwards. Bones were becoming more common the deeper he went inside. Those cultivators were probably eaten by the ferocious beasts. Lin Feng was controlling the Jade Emperor's palace with his left hand and the demon seal plate with his right. Lin Feng was pulling out all the stops this time. I'm very near. Lin Feng could sense his sword. He continued moving forwards as a terrifying demon chi became palpable. It seemed like the pressure was becoming too intense for the Jade Emperor's palace to handle. Lin Feng's Buddha lights became darker, as well as the demon seal plate. A peak could be seen in front of Lin Feng. That peak was actually a huge stone plate, as large as a mountain. Seal. Lin Feng stopped in his tracks and read the word seal on the tablet. That tablet seemed like it could seal anything and it contained an infinite explosive power. Besides, in front of that huge stone was a sword. It was gigantic. It was the demon sword. Demon seal plate, whispered Lin Feng, it was the real demon seal stone. It was infinitely more powerful than the small one he had and it contained a terrifying power to match its size. Chapter 830, The Silhouette Down the Mountain. The legends were right, there is a demon seal tablet in the valley, thought Lin Feng while looking at it. It could oppress incredible evil energies. There seemed to be ghosts crying here, as if their souls were filled with infinite rage. Lin Feng frowned, those ghostly sounds unbearable. In the antiquity, the demon seal tablet was a gigantic stone. At some point, it broke into several pieces. Lin Feng had only obtained a small piece previously. Death and life, souls, everything turns into void eventually. Nothing can change this in this world. A voice rang inside Lin Feng's head. It was a pleasant voice and Lin Feng suddenly felt very comfortable. Then the atmosphere became calm again. The ghost stopped crying and the temperature in the valley seemed to become a little bit warmer. At that moment, Lin Feng frowned and looked around. Where did that voice come from? Lin Feng stared at the demon seal stone. Qi kept rolling in waves out from it. Was there someone inside the stone? Who? Shouted Lin Feng. His voice spread to everywhere in the valley. In the legends, nobody could live in the valley. But now someone was speaking to Lin Feng. How many years has it been? I would have never thought that anyone would come to the Death Valley again. How many people have died here, said the voice again. Lin Feng frowned as he stared at the mountain. That wasn't a hallucination, the voice really came from the stone. Where are you? Please tell me, asked Lin Feng while looking at the mountain. Boom boom boom. Rumbling sound spread in the air, startling Lin Feng. The ground was cracking as the stone moved. It moved. It was moving rather slowly as the ground continued shaking. The stone was rising higher into the air. Lin Feng ran over to the demon sword, but it was also shaking and emitting buzzing sounds. Lin Feng lowered his head and looked at the foot of the mountain. An incredibly oppressive pressure was spreading in the air. Lin Feng suddenly felt like suffocating. His Buddha and his demonic energies couldn't withstand the pressure anymore. The demon seal mountain's strength was too great. Dazzling lights were flashing in the air as the terrifying pressure rose. A golden and gentle light appeared, it was a Buddha's light. Lin Feng was astonished. Could it be that the legends were false and that the one controlling that gigantic stone wasn't a demon, but a Buddha? Lin Feng walked towards the stone and looked down into the fissure in the ground. There was a silhouette sitting cross-legged. They looked incredible, majestic, and was surrounded by a dazzling light. Even though there were oppressive energies everywhere, they seemed undisturbed. They looked pure, as if their heart hadn't the slightest iota of hatred, standing aloof from worldly affairs. Buddha. It was a Buddha. Lin Feng was shaking from head to foot. In the Death Valley of all places, where there was an omnipresent death chi, there wasn't a demon but a Buddha, an omniscient Buddha. However, the Buddha's skills seemed to be oppressed by the demon seal mountain. That Buddha had probably been there for thousands of years and yet still looked healthy. Wasn't eternal life a demonic art? Lin Feng had studied the strength of the Haruka and could use real Buddha chi, but that wasn't enough to withstand the Death Valley. Comparatively, that Buddha had probably mastered all the Buddha skills, even if they were oppressed right now. Sir, why is the demon seal stone sealing your powers? Lin Feng asked, confused. The demon seal plate is a demon stone, it uses an incredibly oppressive power. When a Buddha owns it, it can seal a demon's powers, when a demon uses it, it can seal a Buddha's powers, explained the Buddha in a gentle voice. Indeed, if Buddhas used the stone, they could seal demons' powers and vice versa. It was an incredible weapon, so this actually made sense. Sir, how long have you been here? Asked Lin Feng. His interlocutor shook his head and said slowly, as a Buddha, you can practice cultivation anywhere. You have to pay attention to the place you practice though. I came here because I can witness the many horrors and suffering of the valley. I can progress every day by processing this scene. I cannot see his cultivation level, thought Lin Feng while trying to sense his interlocutor's cultivation level. The Buddha's voice sounded like mantras and it seemed to influence Lin Feng's emotions. Lin Feng felt a little inferior. Sir, I can help you break the demon seal stone so you can leave. Lin Feng offered to help the saint. That stone contains an incredible demoniac force, the word carved into it bears its soul. With that sword, you may be able to succeed, but I doubt it, the interlocutor calmly explained, obviously referring to the demon sword. At that moment, the sword was calm and silent. Even though it had a strong temper, it seemed to be oppressed inside the Death Valley. Lin Feng grabbed the sword and it shrunk to match his size. It was actually letting Lin Feng control it now without putting up a fight. Lin Feng jumped up in the air and arrived next to the word seal, boom boom boom. A terrifying demon chi invaded the atmosphere and exploded like thunder. Lin Feng rotated the strength of the Haruka and sword chi launched out as well. Lin Feng slowly raised both of his hands and attacked the word seal. The sword chi crashed onto the word, but the sword chi was quickly oppressed and the word seal started twinkling. Its oppressive power was becoming increasingly heavy. There were terrifying black clouds above Lin Feng's head as if a storm was about to start. The chi from the demon sword dashed to the skies as Lin Feng attempted to use even more strength. Boom boom boom. Black clouds rolled in waves. The earth and the sky were roaring. However, a sound spread in the air. Although the sword was still there, it didn't look as majestic as a few seconds before. So much so that its chi seemed to disappear. That incredible sword chi disappeared without a trace, as if it never appeared in the first place. Chapter 831, Awareness. Just as his sword was about to reach its target, Lin Feng decided not to attack. He slowly flew down to the ground where the silhouette bathing in Buddha's lights was. The Buddha wasn't surprised as he said, "You should give up, the demon seal stone is way too powerful. Keep up your strength, for danger lurks at every corner here. I sincerely hope that you will get out of here safely." "Do you really mean that?" Lin Feng asked while looking back at the stone. "Of course," the silhouette said, nodding. "Okay, since that's what you want, I will leave now," Lin Feng said while waving at the Buddha. He then turned around and started leaving. "Wait, wait," shouted the Buddha after Lin Feng had already ran 1,000 meters away. Lin Feng turned around and looked at that almighty Buddha. Then, Lin Feng asked, "Is there anything you would like to talk about? Death Valley is a very dangerous place. It is easy to come in but difficult to leave. I have been oppressed here for a very long time and I've never met anyone who managed to leave Death Valley alive. The fact that you made it here and found me already is a miracle. If you leave, the horrors of the Death Valley will never stop. You should try and break the seal again. If you break it, Death Valley would disappear. If you really can't, then I'll teach you a monstrously powerful skill which should enable you to break it," said the Buddha in majestic way, still bathing in Buddha's lights. "Thank you for your good intentions, but I have to refuse. Even though I am an ordinary person and my powers can't be compared with yours, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I am unable to leave Death Valley. Goodbye." Lin Feng sounded rather self-confident. The Buddha's eyes twinkled for a few seconds, but then he looked normal again. "You only came here to take your treasures back and now you're leaving. It wouldn't be very kind to leave someone in distress, now would it?" The Buddha sounded a little bit cold. Are those words a Buddha would spout? Lin Feng was smiling coldly now. The interlocutor stared at Lin Feng before saying, "How did you notice? You seemed too impatient. You said Buddhas could practice cultivation anywhere and didn't care about where they were. You said sitting cross-legged here was an opportunity for you to bring peace to all those suffering souls and for you to constantly surpass yourself. When I tried to break the seal stone, you seemed to have forgotten those words and became impatient, thus contradicting yourself." "That doesn't mean anything," said that person as calm as before. "Maybe you're right, but it still proves that you are impatient. Therefore, I can see and hear some darkness in you. Buddhas can influence mood, they could drive me to become like them and listen to them. I trust them. If your voice didn't contain that iota of darkness, I would trust you right now, but those strange elements influenced my determination and made me doubt your intentions. At the moment when I attacked the stone, you actually looked so greedy. It was then that you clearly showed your true colors." Lin Feng stopped talking for a few seconds before adding, "What I don't understand is why your Buddha chi is so pure. I can tell that you're not pretending. Considering the fact that you managed to reach such a high cultivation level as a Buddhist cultivator, those dark elements don't make sense." Lin Feng could clearly sense his interlocutor's Buddha chi and it was absolutely pure. The Buddha's face looked captivating, his voice sounded gentle and pure. Luckily Lin Feng's determination was strong and he hadn't obeyed the Buddha. Interesting, said the Buddha while smiling in a strange way. He didn't look as calm and detached as he had before. The Buddha lights disappeared and the Buddha's silhouette became blurry. His silhouette was flickering, sometimes he looked like a Buddha and sometimes like a demon. Golden Buddha lights and darkness kept alternating like the flickering flame of a candle. Finally, a terrifying demon chi appeared. Even though it was oppressed by the demon seal stone, it was still incredible. A terrifying and boundless chi was burning. A demon, it really is a demon. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes while staring at the silhouette in front of him. Since you found out about my secret, I don't need to beat around the bush anymore. Attack the stone and do as I said, break the seal, the demon said in a deep and loud voice. Even though his power was oppressed, he was still monstrously strong and despised most ordinary cultivators. Do you think that I would, said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. If you don't, I will attack you. In a flash, a terrifying black light rose up in the sky and aimed for Lin Feng's head. Lin Feng unsheathed his sword as rumbling sounds spread in the air. However, his sword couldn't pierce through the black light. The black light looked like a sword made from intent, but it immediately pierced through Lin Feng's head and penetrated into his brain. Lin Feng's head felt like exploding. He released 1,000,000 broken souls and turned them into 1,000,000 indestructible swords. Boom boom, explosion sounds were resonating in Lin Feng's brain. His opponent was too strong. What kind of intent was that black light? Luckily, Lin Feng had his broken soul technique which was able to maintain the defensive. The demon was looking at Lin Feng in a furious way. He felt humiliated. His goal, by aiming at Lin Feng's head, was initially to take control of Lin Feng's body, but he had failed. Crrr. The black lights were now devouring Lin Feng's awareness. How could Lin Feng give him this chance? He immediately made the strength of the Haruka and of the Buddha rotate. His myriad of broken souls emitted whistling sounds like 1,000,000 sharp swords. Boom 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 boom, his terrifying attack continued to assault Lin Feng, who felt like he was becoming paralyzed. If it was someone else, someone who didn't have a terrifying intent and powerful soul, they would have died. Of course, if the demon seal stone hadn't been there, Lin Feng would have died already. In the blink of an eye, the demon could have, without moving a single finger, taken control over Lin Feng. Very good. I will see how long you can resist, said the demon while groaning coldly. Rumbling sounds continued spreading in the air. Lin Feng's demon sword started shaking violently as a terrifying demonic energy surfaced. Lin Feng could only watch as his awareness was consumed by the demon sword. He was turning into a demon again. Crrr, sword chi dashed to the skies. Lin Feng was unable to hold his sword, his treasure, and now his opponent was going to take it. So my sword came here because of you, thought Lin Feng. He actually couldn't control the sword because it was still too strong. So what? Lend me your sword, the demon said coldly. His demon energies were rotating in the atmosphere. The demon sword then rose up in the air and began moving towards the demon seal stone. Piss off, Lin Feng sounded furious as he jumped up into the air while holding his own demon seal stone. Boom, the demon seal stone oppressed the demon's sword, which immediately came back to him. Lin Feng jumped in front of the stone. Chapter 832, 3 Lives Emperor. It's not so strong, thought Lin Feng, sensing the strength of the demon sword while sealing its energies. Even though the demon could control the sword with his awareness, the seal stone was constricting his full strength. It seems like you won't be able to break the seal on your own, Lin Feng said. The seal stone was infinitely powerful and a small piece of that stone was already enough to control the demon sword. Maybe we can make a deal then, said the demon reluctantly. Lin Feng smiled and said, first, give me back my demon sword. Okay, it's no problem because I don't need it, said the demon calmly. Lin Feng grabbed the sword, and stabbed it back into his body, sealing it with the stone again. If the sword didn't come out, the demon wouldn't be able to take it. Lin Feng went back to the ground and faced the demon. Even though his strength was oppressed, Lin Feng could still sense some of it. If the demon was freed, he would probably destroy the world. Let's make an exchange, said the demon. What do you want to exchange? Lin Feng asked back. You studied the broken soul skill, which is a part of the wisdom from the 3 lives. I can teach you the real 3 lives skill if you help me break the stone, said the demon. The offer sounded very tempting. The 3 lives skill, the demon surprisingly knew about the 3 lives skill. In the Jade Emperor's hall back in the mysterious world, Lin Feng had studied the 3 lives emperor and the strength of the Haruka started rotating in his body. Could the strength of the Harukas be related to the 3 lives skill? Who are you? Why would you even know about the 3 lives skill? Lin Feng didn't quite trust the demon. Hee hee. Mwahahaha, the demon started laughing frantically. His entire body was surrounded by an infinity of demon chi. Rumbling sounds were spreading everywhere and the ground started cracking apart. It seemed like everything was going to collapse. The gigantic demon seal mountain began shaking violently. Some cracks started to appear on it as it really looked like it was going to break. "Break!" shouted the demon furiously. Rumbling and explosion sounds were booming. Lin Feng ran back quickly as he watched. However, at the last moment, the word seal on the mountain started emitting dazzling lights and it released oppressive energies which surrounded the demon. He was unable to break the stone beyond that point, the broken quickly repaired themselves now. How terrifying, thought Lin Feng. It seemed like even the great sage equal of heaven wouldn't have been able to destroy that mountain. I wonder who made that stone. Did you see? I almost broke it. You asked me where I learnt the 3 lives skill, I will tell you, Wu Ming the 3 lives emperor taught it to me, said the demon slowly. The strength of the Haruka was rotating around him, he was a half Buddha and half demon. Lin Feng smiled and said, I'm leaving. Goodbye. After that, Lin Feng turned around and started leaving. Wait, I am not done talking, shouted the demon. It seems like you already know a lot about the 3 lives skill, maybe you already knew that it was the 3 lives emperor's skill. 1 life becomes 3. The body can turn into a Buddha, a demon and a cultivator. All 3 in one body. I am the demon of the 3 lives skill, so I am extremely familiar with the skill. The demon of the 3 lives skill. Lin Feng stopped and slowly turned around. Maybe he wasn't lying. Because he could share a body with the Buddha, he had learned how to use Buddha's purity and could use authentic Buddha intent. The real 3 lives demon's power ended here with his powers sealed. The 3 lives skill is incredible. You studied the broken soul skill, so you must have sensed how incredible it is. Imagine, if you practiced the 3 lives skill, you would have 3 bodies. You would be indestructible. Now, because you will free me, I will teach it to you and you will someday become an emperor. The demon's offer sounded very tempting, but Lin Feng groaned and bit his lips. Don't try to tempt me with your evil intent, otherwise I'll leave. Hee, no problem. Anyways, imagine it, you're a little nobody right now and you have the opportunity to obtain the 3 lives emperor's skill book, why are you still hesitating? Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling. He had to ask, we still have to agree on how we will negotiate. If I free you first, you're probably going to kill me. If you give me the book first, I might leave without freeing you. What should we do? I'm the 3 emperor's demon, I don't care about your life because you're only an insect to me. Why would I care? If you free me, not only will I teach you the 3 lives skill but other skills as well to express my gratitude. I don't believe you, said Lin Feng while shaking his head. How could he trust a demon? You fooled me with your Buddha chi once. Then you tried to pollute my intent, why should I trust you? If I release you, killing me would be simple. Just like you said, I'm an insect in your eyes. You don't believe me still. So even if I give you the book first, will you still not trust me then? Asked the demon. I suppose there are no solutions. Lin Feng said indifferently. Therefore, you should trust me, shouted the demon furiously. Okay, then trust me too and give me the book first, said Lin Feng determined. You're really annoying. Okay, I will give you the book but I will only teach you 1/3 of the skill. If you're happy with it I will teach you the entire skill. The demon looked happy, almost as if he was still hiding something. I agree. Lin Feng was excited now. The 3 lives skill is incredibly powerful. It contains a myriad of mysteries. I will have to enter your awareness to teach you the skill and carve it in your memories, said the demon. The demon was monstrously strong, he could use his own awareness like a sword and kill people without being seen. Letting him enter his brain was extremely dangerous. If he wanted, he could immediately take control of Lin Feng's body and steal it. Think carefully, the 3 lives skill is monstrously powerful. I can't even describe how powerful it is with words. The demon continued to tempt Lin Feng when he saw that he was hesitating. He didn't look so impatient though, he remained calm now. He was certain that Lin Feng wouldn't miss such an opportunity. Chapter 833, Too Many Requests. Lin Feng didn't reply immediately, instead he slightly frowned. Lin Feng didn't know how strong the demon was. Maybe he had hidden some skills and would be able to kill Lin Feng with one attack. Lin Feng was hesitating, but if what the demon was saying was true, Lin Feng would regret it for the rest of his life. The demon didn't look impatient and wasn't putting pressure on Lin Feng. He was giving him time to think it over. When a cultivator breaks through to the Tian Qi layer, they control their own soul. Apart from a stronger soul, they can also attack others' awareness and will possess a better defense, right? Asked Lin Feng. The demon nodded and said, indeed, Tian-level cultivators can fuse together with the sky and earth. A divine power fuses together with their soul and their awareness becomes godly. With that godly awareness, killing becomes easier. One thought is enough to slaughter your enemies. Godly awareness must be understood to become powerful. One must also possess powerful offensive and defensive skills, especially Tian-level skills. Am I right? Lin Feng asked. He had encountered many Tian-level cultivators, but even though their cultivation level was high, none of them had godly awareness. It wasn't because they didn't wish to, it was because they didn't know how to use such powers. Indeed, said the demon nodding. Godly awareness enabled cultivators to kill in an even more ferocious way. If you want inside my brain, I need to understand those things. Do you know what I mean? Lin Feng said calmly. The demon smiled and said, you are very smart. You noticed that I was attacking you with my awareness, so now you want to learn how to do that. If you learn how to attack with your awareness, coupled with your incredibly strong soul, average Tian-level cultivators will have a hard time fighting against you. I hope you can teach me that, said Lin Feng, bowing in front of the demon. Lin Feng wanted to become even more powerful. He had the 3 lives Emperor's demon in front of him, missing the chance to learn from him would have been such a pity. All right. I will teach you the godly awareness skill as well, but as before, I need to penetrate into yours to teach it to you. The demon remained indifferent. To Lin Feng, such a skill was priceless, but to the demon, those skills were futile. He didn't mind teaching those skills to Lin Feng. Learning the godly awareness and the 3 lives skills should only take a minute, right? You're quite prudent. A minute is enough to print the skills in your brain. Yes, said the demon. Okay, thank you, sir. Lin Feng said while closing his eyes. He couldn't act careless now, so he released his broken souls which condensed in his brain to protect himself. Anything could happen and Lin Feng had to use all his strength to avoid an accident. A second later, Lin Feng sensed the demon entering in his brain. The demon's godly awareness was incredible and contained a mighty power, but because his strength was sealed, his godly awareness was much weaker than what it should have been. Otherwise, Lin Feng's awareness would have been crushed. Lin Feng's awareness was transforming. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared and that person was smiling darkly. Immediately after, they left Lin Feng's awareness. Lin Feng opened his eyes and was very pleased. The godly awareness skill is incredible, now my soul is extremely powerful. Godly awareness could create a copper bell whose ring could stun people and even erase their soul. At the same time, it can turn into a copper bell used for defense. Even though you haven't broken through to the Tian Qi layer yet, your soul is already extremely strong and you can fuse together with the earth, therefore you can already start practicing it, but its power won't be as strong compared to if you broke through to the Tian Qi layer. If you want to practice it now, I can wait, the demon explained. He was an incredible cultivator, he obviously understood why Lin Feng wanted to learn the godly awareness. His first reason was to be stronger in the future, his second reason was to protect his awareness and prevent it from being attacked or stolen. Thank you for your understanding, said Lin Feng, nodding. His silhouette flickered and he moved a few kilometers away and sat down cross-legged. Then, he started practicing the godly awareness skill. Just like the demon said, Lin Feng hadn't broken through to the Tian Qi layer yet. Even though he could rely on his powerful soul, he wasn't able to deploy the maximum power of the skill. His awareness couldn't move too far away from his body. Unless his opponent was directly in front of him, Lin Feng couldn't attack them. However, he could always use it for defense. That skill, even though it was quite good, it wasn't an unfathomable skill. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to learn it. After 3 days, Lin Feng stopped practicing it, stood up and walked towards the demon. That demon was patient, but to him, 3 days was nothing. He had been waiting there for so many years. All in all, even those years had passed by quickly because was practicing cultivation the whole time. How do you like it? Asked the demon. Even though the demon was surrounded by evil lights, he actually looked like a normal old man now. It was as if he had become less evil after staying under the influence of the seal stone for so many years, or maybe he had just grown old. Master, I have another request. Forgive me for being so demanding, said Lin Feng, bowing in a very respectful way. The demon suddenly looked tense and uncomfortable. What is it now? As if Lin Feng hadn't sensed his interlocutor's unease, he said slowly, Master, releasing you will be something earth-shattering. Therefore, please teach me a powerful agility technique so that I can leave quickly once you're free. You're a sly boy. You really know how to take advantage of somebody's misfortune. The demon looked annoyed. Lin Feng was clearly taking advantage of his misfortune, but that was understandable. Lin Feng was even more shameless than the demon. Master, please be magnanimous enough to forgive me, said Lin Feng, very respectfully bowing again. The demon was furious, but he had no choice but to accept Lin Feng's request. Okay, I will teach you a powerful agility technique. It is a technique created in the antiquity as well. It is the Xiao Yao step agility technique. It is found in the Xiao Yao agility technique book. But now you have to promise me something, that this is your last request, said the demon, feeling uncomfortable. Surprisingly, the demon wanted to teach him the Xiao Yao agility technique. The same Xiao Yao agility technique book which Tang Yu had heard about in the mysterious world. It contained a technique called the Xiao Yao step technique that was supposedly incredible. Lin Feng and Tang Yu had even stolen it from an opponent, but it was an incomplete version. What the demon wanted to teach Lin Feng was probably the complete version. Lin Feng was very excited, but his facial expression didn't reveal his feelings. He looked just as calm as before. Thank you very much, Master. I promise you that it is my last request. Lin Feng slowly bowed and walked backwards. Just like a moment before, the demon entered Lin Feng's awareness, but this time Lin Feng could protect himself with his broken souls and the awareness bronze bells. But the demon didn't try anything tricky, he just entered Lin Feng's brain and passed on the Xiao Yao step technique onto him. When the demon left Lin Feng's awareness, Lin Feng saw the technique and was delighted. As expected, it was the Xiao Yao step technique, and it contained one more page than what Lin Feng obtained before. As expected, the technique was complete. Chapter 834, Infinite Demon Print. The Xiao Yao step contained 81 different sorts of steps, of which each possessed different variations, 361 variations to be exact. My cultivation level is still too low, thought Lin Feng, studying the agility technique. As he was learning more and more powerful skills, he was realizing that his cultivation level remained a problem. He couldn't understand the variations of the last step, so he couldn't really learn the skill. If Lin Feng managed to master the entire authentic and antique Xiao Yao agility technique, he would become impossible to hit. No cultivator of the Tian Qi layer would dare stand in his way. However, Lin Feng possessed a very strong soul. He entered his dark world and fused with the earth. In his vast consciousness, there was a silhouette using the Xiaoyao agility technique as if they were trying to teach it to Lin Feng. And, Lin Feng was unconsciously following them. Strangely, it seemed like that silhouette was himself, Lin Feng. 2 days later, Lin Feng stopped practicing. His eyes were closed as his silhouette started flickering about. The Xiaoyao step technique allowed him to move freely and so quickly that multiple shadows appeared in the air. No one could see where he actually was because it was impossible to distinguish Lin Feng from all the silhouettes in the air. After 7 days, Lin Feng could move with incredible speed. Coupled with his wind intent, he was now faster than any cultivator of the Tian Qi layer. Lin Feng was convinced that his cultivation level was now comparable with that of the legendary rock. Perhaps he was even faster than the rock. A silhouette appeared in front of the demon seal mountain. The demon was still there and of course, the stone was oppressing his powers still. "Did you learn it?" asked the demon while smiling. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes." "Okay, now, open your awareness, I will teach you the first part of the 3 lives skill. After you save me, I will teach you the complete version. You will then be able to combine 3 lives into 1. You'll become a Buddha, a demon, as well as yourself. Nobody will compare to you anymore with that skill," said the demon in a tempting way. Lin Feng's heart was beating faster but he remained cool-headed. "Please," said Lin Feng while sitting down cross-legged and opening his awareness. He was still using his bronze bells to protect himself. If the demon attacked him, Lin Feng would be able to wake up. He couldn't give the demon any opportunities. The 3 lives skill was much more valuable than the Xiaoyao agility technique. The demon's awareness entered Lin Feng's awareness and began printing the skill on Lin Feng's soul. Finally, the skill was so powerful that it made Lin Feng shake. His bronze bell remained intact so he wasn't injured. Lin Feng was very determined to get this skill. After a long time, the demon finally came out. Lin Feng was motionless, still sitting down cross-legged and was inspecting the memories. The first part of the skill was the demon portion and it was vast and brutal. It contained the explosive power of the earth and the sky. Lin Feng started practicing. Lin Feng was a drop of water in an ocean of awareness. He made the strength of the Haruka rotate with an incredible force. It wasn't long before his flesh became as hard as iron. He then turned into a demon while sitting in an ocean of demon energy. The demon qi became more potent. Demon lights started twinkling all around Lin Feng and dashed to the skies. Everlasting through the ages, a mystical voice spread in the air. It was that of a demon. Lin Feng looked calm while surrounded by the incredible demonic qi. "Reigning over the universe," said the demon in a strange and mystical way again. His entire body was diffusing an infinite amount of light. "Everything is evil, I am the beginning and the end. There is nothing that I cannot do. There is nothing that is forbidden. I can kill all deities," said the demon. The demon qi made Lin Feng's body rise up. "The power I lend you is for me to crush the entire world." "Infinite demon print, kill," shouted the demon furiously. The terrifying pure qi of the earth and the sky turned into demon qi which could destroy the very earth and the sky. Lin Feng had completely turned into a demon. "Infinite demon print, kill," shouted a terrifying voice again. This time the terrifying demon qi was released. There were no rumbling sounds, but the sky and the earth were collapsing. The terrifying demon print turned into a mountain carved from demonic energies. Boom, the demon print crashed onto the word seal on the demon seal mountain, which suddenly became distorted. The mountain suddenly started shaking violently and a crack appeared. Mwahaha, mwahaha, the demon raised his head towards the sky and laughed frantically. He began grabbing pieces of that mountain and throwing them around. At that moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes and became normal again. He looked down at his hands, he was lost. When he had practiced the 3 lives skill, had felt like he couldn't control himself. He turned into a demon and carried out a terrifying attack. When Lin Feng saw the mountain, he understood. No wonder that the demon had listened to and obeyed him, he even taught him the godly awareness and the Xiaoyao step technique. The demon never trusted Lin Feng, so how could he put his destiny in Lin Feng's hands? He taught him the demon part of the 3 lives skill so Lin Feng could turn into the exact same demon as him. A moment before, the voice Lin Feng was hearing was the demon's, both of them had been in symbiosis and Lin Feng was unable to control himself. The demon had borrowed Lin Feng's body to attack the mountain. Lin Feng had, in the end, acted as a puppet for the demon. I'm off. Lin Feng used his Xiaoyao agility technique, his silhouette flickered and he disappeared into the distance. He didn't want to stay there any longer. Chapter 835, Boom Boom Boom, terrifying rumbling sound spread in the air as the earth and sky seemed to collapse. The animals in the Death Valley were crawling and those which could fly couldn't fly very high in the sky. Cracking and explosion sounds kept spreading in the air and gigantic cracks were appearing everywhere in the valley. The most terrifying part were the black clouds covering the entire sky. No, only the valley, the clouds were reaching into the outside world. At that moment, outside the Death Valley, there were several people from the East Sea Dragon Palace. They were almost sure that Lin Feng would die inside, but just in case he stayed at the periphery to run away, they had to wait. At that moment, they raised their heads and saw the black demon clouds expanding outwards with incredible force. What was going on? That chi seemed to be coming from the depths of the Death Valley. They glanced at each other looking scared. Nobody could survive inside of Death Valley. There was, according to legends, a gigantic demon seal stone in the Death Valley and a demon whose powers were sealed. But those were only legends and nobody really knew what was inside. However, at that moment, it seemed like the legends were true. It really seemed like a demon chi was emanating from Death Valley. Boom boom boom, explosions sounded, the ground was shaking violently, and even those outside of the Death Valley could sense it clearly. Ha ha ha, the 3 lives demon have finally emerged. My powers have been sealed for thousands of years, but now I'm going to take back everything that belongs to me, said the demon extremely loudly. His voice resonated thousands and thousands of kilometers away into the distance. The 3 lives demon has come back. They all looked in the direction of the valley. There was a pitch-black silhouette in the sky surrounded by black clouds. The black silhouette then jumped higher up in the sky and entered the hurricane made of black clouds. And then no one could see it anymore. Lin Feng finally came to halt, he was drenched in sweat from running away. He had stopped to look at the sky. The demon had left, surprisingly. He lent him his strength to break the seal and then left. Before the demon left, Lin Feng sensed that the demon looked at him with murderous intentions. Lin Feng was sweating from fear. He knew he couldn't rival the 3 lives demon. Maybe the demon considered Lin Feng too inferior and couldn't be bothered killing a nobody. Or maybe he was grateful that Lin Feng lent him his body to break the seal. Lin Feng didn't know why the demon spared him, but it no longer mattered. He had obtained incredible skills and techniques. Lin Feng looked back at the broken demon seal stone and ran towards the broken pieces of stone. 2 minutes later, Lin Feng arrived where the demon had broken the stone. The gigantic demon seal mountain had exploded, pieces of it were everywhere. Even though it was completely broken, Lin Feng couldn't help but admire that incredible stone. Even though it was broken, it hadn't turned into powder. Lin Feng grabbed a piece on the ground. It was broken, but upon closer inspection it seemed like it could heal itself. What surprised Lin Feng was that a word had appeared on the stone, seal, and it still contained an oppressive energy. No wonder the stone was considered a priceless treasure, it could even heal itself. Lin Feng grabbed the stone and looked at the place where the demon was trapped. There was a huge hole where a large, evil-looking tree was now growing. Several Bodhi were hanging from the tree, they were black and contained a terrifying demon chi. Cultivators of the Tian Chi layer, when practicing in seclusion and if their intent was strong enough, could produce intent crystals. Zun cultivators, when practicing could understand abstruse energy and if they practiced long enough, they could produce abstruse crystals. The Three Lives Emperor had practiced there for 1,000 years. He was demoniac, so of course, it wasn't possible for him to produce intent or abstruse crystals when practicing. Instead, these demon Bodhi were formed. From the legends dating back to antiquity, the strongest cultivators in the world could produce precious treasures while practicing. They could produce Buddha Bodhi, while demons produced demon Bodhis. Those are treasures to those who practice demon skills, thought Lin Feng. His eyes were twinkling resplendently. He immediately grabbed all the demon Bodhis. Bzzzzzzz, a terrifying death and demon chi surrounded these demon Bodhi. Lin Feng grabbed some more demon seal stones, small ones, big ones. Afterwards, he looked around him and found that he was surrounded by animals. The demon was gone and he had left behind the demon Bodhi. Those animals had sensed them and had rushed over. Surprisingly, there was nothing there now, only a human being. Shit, cursed Lin Feng. Those animals' bodies were like iron. Lin Feng couldn't win against them and they possessed death chi to slowly whittle him away. Even though they were low-leveled, with their death chi, they could still kill seasoned cultivators. If Lin Feng hadn't sensed their death chi when he went into the depths of the valley, he would have died. Fortunately, he had sensed their chi and used his palace to protect himself. If someone else had gone into the valley, even someone stronger than Lin Feng, they probably would have died. Bzzzzz. Bzzzzz, there was a terrifying wind as Lin Feng suddenly felt like suffocating. Lin Feng frowned and looked at a gigantic beast approaching. What a terrifying crow. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. That crow must have been the king of the crows. When Lin Feng first came into Death Valley, the king of the crows hadn't appeared. Maybe because he thought too little of a tiny cultivator of the Xian Qi layer, Lin Feng didn't deserve its attention. Chapter 836, Crisis in Ganyu. Lin Feng jumped up in the sky using his Xiaoyao agility technique. His body turned into a shadow as danced in the sky with incredible speed. Bzzzzz. Lin Feng couldn't fly any higher because a group of crows blocked his way in the sky. It looked like a web of death trying to capture Lin Feng like a fish. The Jade Emperor's palace appeared in Lin Feng's hand. It contained a terrifying imperial chi which dispersed the death chi as well as the crows. Lin Feng's palace dashed to the skies, opening the way, and then turned into a heart again. Lin Feng turned back into a shadow and used his Xiaoyao step technique to fly away. He was trying to leave the Death Valley. Bzzz, bzzz. Roar. Terrifying rays of death chi continued appearing. Lin Feng was just starting to realize how truly terrifying the Death Valley was. Many gigantic wild beasts were there and their death chi was terrifying. The beasts hadn't even neared him but he could already sense their chi. Lin Feng grabbed a demon Bodhi and immediately swallowed it. A terrifying strength started flowing in Lin Feng's body. He felt like all of this power was going to explode inside him. Kacha, his bones were crackling, his eyes became colder. The death chi couldn't corrode his body anymore and he couldn't even sense it anymore. His long hair, his entire body, he looked like a real demon. Boom! Lin Feng rose up in the air with incredible speed. However, the beasts were faster, especially when they saw that Lin Feng had eaten one of the Bodhi. The Bodhis are on the tree down there, go and pick some. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled, a Bodhi appeared in his hand and he threw it away. In that time, 2 more demon Bodhi had grown on the tree. Those beasts went insane when they saw that. They suddenly turned around as if they had forgotten about Lin Feng. As they neared the tree, a great war started. Lin Feng took advantage of the chaos to run farther away, but as he was getting away a few silhouettes appeared. Those who were outside of the valley, the strong cultivators of the East Sea Dragon Palace, had seen the demon leave the valley. After that, they suddenly became very interested in seeing what was in the valley. Was there still something inside? Lin Feng previously entered the valley and surprisingly hadn't died. He had probably survived and was responsible for the current chaos of Death Valley. Surprisingly, you haven't died. One of the strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace saw Lin Feng and released a terrifying deadly energy. He had a cold smile on his face as he threw himself at Lin Feng. Lin Feng might possess a treasure which previously belonged to the Jade Emperor, so he needed to be cautious. Die. That person was a cultivator of the Tian Qi layer. He stretched out his arm, which then turned into dragon claws. The released Qi turned into a dragon and wanted to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng stretched his arm and punched, releasing demonic energies. Boom! When the energies collided, the flood dragon immediately dispersed. Lin Feng's terrifying punch continued on to crash into his opponent's body. Crackling sound spread in the air. Lin Feng had literally destroyed his opponent's body. After killing that guy, Lin Feng didn't stop moving. His silhouette flickered using the Xiao Yao step technique. His speed was incredible. The others were astonished, even stunned. Lin Feng had killed a cultivator of the Tian Qi layer in one punch. How? Lin Feng's fist was terrifying. By the time they realized what happened, Lin Feng was already gone. With his agility technique, he could move faster than any of them. Chase him, shouted someone furiously. But then, a terrifying death Qi appeared from behind them. They turned their heads and saw terrifying beasts emerging from Death Valley and attacking them. They were looking at those human beings in an ice-cold way. The cultivators had the impression they were going to die. Roar, a terrifying Qi emerged out of those beasts and enveloped the cultivators. They were losing too much life too quickly. Escape. They finally realized their only chance of surviving was escaping. However, that death Qi was sticking to their skin and they were still losing their life slowly. It didn't take long before they all collapsed and died. Those terrifying beasts were gazing into the distance. They wanted to leave the Death Valley, but it seemed like they were scared. It seemed like something was preventing them from leaving. Those beasts perfectly understood that when they were born, that extremely strong cultivator had created them dead already. Their souls were dead and unable to leave Death Valley. If they left the valley, they would actually die. News that the demon broke the seal and left the Death Valley had spread quickly. Many strong cultivators from Ganyu rushed over to the Death Valley. The legends were true. A demon had really been trapped in the Death Valley and his strength was sealed. Maybe the demon left something in the valley after leaving. Not only the disciples of the biggest sects and other influential groups were rushing over there, but their strong cultivators as well. This time, the greatest groups of influence from the Ganyu region would join hands to survive Death Valley. At the same time, there was something else that everyone was wondering: where were the people who had gone to the mysterious world? They had disappeared, neither the young cultivators or their entourage had come back. Then, some other news had spread. Many people had noticed that most of Tian Qi's people had come back. Some influential groups could guess what happened. Concerning the fact that Lin Feng had obtained a precious treasure belonging to the Jade Emperor, nobody knew about it. The people from the East Sea Dragon Palace kept the secret, otherwise it would have been too difficult for them to steal the treasure. Nobody would renounce such a treasure. Lin Feng may be attacked by people from Tian Qi if they knew that he had obtained the treasure. While there was a crisis going on in Ganyu which was linked to Lin Feng, the latter was sitting cross-legged in a cave in a mountain. His eyes were closed and he was meditating. He had so many incredible treasures and he needed to break through to the Tian Qi layer. Chapter 837, Back to Tian Qi. Back at Death Valley, a great war was taking place. The cultivators from the influential groups of Ganyu had gone there together and had brought their beasts to fight. The ground and sky were shaking, to the extent that it seemed that the valley was going to collapse. Those ferocious beasts which possessed death chi were attacking the cultivators ruthlessly. Hundreds of influential groups were joining hands in the Death Valley. However, the result was still tragic. A myriad of disciples had died there, either killed by ferocious beasts or corroded by death chi. If the war was worth it, then Death Valley wouldn't be a forbidden area ever again. This time, the strong cultivators of Ganyu had planned everything. However, an internal war occurred. The cultivators wanted to take control over Death Valley, but all in all, they were still greedy and wildly ambitious. They had found some incredible holy marks and the demon seal stone which was broken by the 3 lives demon. That stone could oppress the demon's powers when it was whole. Even in pieces, they still contained an incredible power. While the cultivators were battling, there were more and more clouds in the air, the entire region was changing. A terrifying oppressive force fell down, it was so powerful that even Zun cultivators would have crawled on the ground. The entire crowd stopped fighting at the same time and raised their heads towards the sky. What a terrifying energy! Everybody suddenly looked scared by the vortexes in the sky. What was going on? Boom! A terrifying energy fell down from the sky, and at that moment blood splashed violently out of many people's mouths. Zun cultivators fell down to the ground and were shaking violently. They could barely breathe. Had the demon come back? Finally, in one of the vortexes, a face appeared. It looked domineering and majestic like an emperor. What a terrifying cultivator! People kept shaking, but that face didn't care. It just glanced at the pieces of broken stone on the ground. That face then glanced at the crowd for a few seconds, but those people didn't dare to meet his gaze. The terrifying vortex emitted loud rumbling sounds as clouds rolled in waves. The face then disappeared, along with the vortex. Eventually everything went back to normal, but the crowd remained motionless for a long time, unable to recover. A moment before, that silhouette in the sky was an emperor. He had sensed the stone, which had oppressed the 3 lives demon's powers, had been broken, so he had come to check it out for himself. An emperor. They had seen a real emperor. Everybody was perfectly aware that the vortex was an emperor's power. The emperor wasn't in Ganyu, so he had imprisoned the demon there. He knew that people in Ganyu were really weak, so he thought that it would be a safe location. He hadn't thought that 1,000 years later, Lin Feng would come to the valley and disturb the peace and tranquility of the region. Relying on the Jade Emperor's palace, he had reached the depths of the Death Valley and had studied the first part of the 3 lives skill. The demon had then borrowed Lin Feng's body to break the word on the stone and free the demon. After the demon left, there was no news as to where he went. His powers had been oppressed for 1,000 years and his chi was still too weak. It would take some time to start causing trouble again. At that moment, Lin Feng was in a cave in the mountains. He was sitting cross-legged and demoniac lights were twinkling around his body. There was a cortex inside Lin Feng's brain which had turned into a gigantic, furious ocean, causing Lin Feng's entire body to change. His chi had now already reached the very peak of the Xian chi layer. His demon chi was spilling out of the cave as his brain was assaulted by a powerful storm. His body was in fusion with the sky. However, his mind and his awareness couldn't become one, his awareness couldn't turn into genuine godly awareness. Boom, the demon lights and the pure chi dispersed and went back into Lin Feng's body. The cave became calm again, but Lin Feng still hadn't broken through to the Tian chi layer. It seemed like there was something preventing him from doing so. But Lin Feng knew that he was about to level up. Only by achieving perfect fusion with the sky, setting his heart at absolute peace, having a pure and unpolluted awareness, and practicing mindfulness. Only then would he be able to level up. He couldn't let anything distract him right now, he had to practice mindful consciousness. His mind and heart had to be in perfect symbiosis in order to break through to the Tian Chi layer. Meng Qing, Xin Yi, his parents etc. kept appearing in his brain. It was because of these thoughts that he couldn't break through to the Tianqi layer. Lin Feng stood up and took a deep breath. Then he left the cave and gazed into the distance. Tianqi, whispered Lin Feng. He should have gone to Tianqi, but he had too many treasures. Now he was too scared to go back, afraid to lose all of his treasures. After all, he was a lot weaker than Zun cultivators. If they wanted to take his treasures, then the situation would be very dangerous. Tianqi, I hope that you won't disappoint me, thought Lin Feng. He could only go to Tianqi because he had nowhere else to go. Otherwise, the people from the East Sea Dragon Palace would eventually find and kill him. His silhouette flickered as he moved towards Tianqi. Back in Tianqi, there was snow everywhere and it was very cold. Back then, the 7 snow eagles returned to Tianqi and all the people on their backs had obtained precious treasures, especially Jun Mo Shi and his friends. The Zun cultivators of Tianqi knew that Lin Feng had obtained the Jade Emperor's palace because his friends told them so. After everyone had gone back to Tianqi, the news quickly spread. The disappearance of all those strong cultivators from the mysterious world and of those who had been waiting outside. Besides, a few corpses had been found as well. Some people had seen Lin Feng kill Duan Wuya as well. Then he had killed some people from the East Sea Dragon Palace and was chased them. Nobody knew what happened in the East Sea Dragon Palace, but they knew Lin Feng was in danger. To sum up, people from Tianqi knew that they were going to draw a lot of people's attention. For one, their cultivators had obtained many precious treasures, and the other reason was that Lin Feng. There were only 2 people who knew how everyone had disappeared, Lin Feng and Duan Wuya. However, Duan Wuya had been killed by Lin Feng in the East Sea Dragon Palace, so Lin Feng was the last one who knew. Lin Feng had too many secrets. Chapter 838, Denouncing Lin Feng. It was freezing cold in Tianqi because the atmosphere was filled with ice chi. On one of the mountains of the main mountain range of Tianqi, there was someone wearing a snowy white robe. She was as beautiful as before, but these days, Tianqi Shui had lost her self-esteem and confidence. She wasn't the pure and holy woman of Tianqi anymore. Even though she had come back safely from the mysterious world and had obtained many treasures and skills, she didn't feel as proud as before. Her heart was wounded. There were too many strong geniuses in Ganyu and she had thought that she could rival with all of them. But during the real battle, she realized that she could only observe with her strength. No need to talk about those young leaders, they had come back to Tianqi having made fools of themselves. However, amongst them, Tianqi Shui was maybe the weakest. She was far from being as strong as Lin Feng. She used to say they weren't disciples of Tianqi and she used to despise Huang Fu Long. Needless to say, the trip to the mysterious world had negative consequences on her psyche. At that moment, in the distance, there was a powerful qi. Tianqi Shui raised her head and gazed into the distance. There was a silhouette on the horizon, but she couldn't see it clearly because of the snow. That silhouette was extremely quick, so quick that people couldn't even follow it with their eyes. Their steps were incredible, as if they had achieved a perfect unison with the clouds. What a marvelous agility technique, thought Tianqi Shui, surprised. That person streaked across the sky and passed right beside her. A hurricane blew her hair around as they passed her, but she had time to see the face. Lin Feng. That person was Lin Feng, free and unrestrained, moving at such incredible speeds. Lin Feng's speed had drastically increased since the mysterious world. Tianqi Shui had reached the very top of the Xianqi layer, but she couldn't even follow Lin Feng with her eyes. Her self-esteem was even lower now. Lin Feng despised her, the woman who used to be admired and worshipped in Tianqi. Lin Feng's words resonated in her head, "You don't deserve someone like Huang Fu Long, he's too good for you." In the past, amongst the 7 snowy peaks of Tianqi, Tianxian Feng was the only one which didn't have a palace. It had declined and was the weakest group of Tianqi strong cultivators who were recruited didn't want to go there, and ultimately, they were later recruited by the other snowy peaks. However, the days after the journey to the mysterious world, Tian Xian Feng had astonished everybody. Almost all of those who had obtained the most extraordinary treasures in the mysterious world were from Tian Xian Feng. They had become the underdogs. Tian Xian Feng had 3 Zun cultivators, Lin Feng's teachers. The Snow Zun cultivator, the Fire Zun cultivator and the Sword Zun cultivator. At this time, they had left their private cultivation and went to the great palace on the main peak where they normally lived. Outside of a palace, at the top of a peak, there was a great palace that showed no signs of habitation. It seemed abandoned. But all around it, there were students talking and studying cultivation. However, that peak seemed like it had gone through a disaster. There was a group of silhouettes at the top, wearing mourning clothes. They were blocking the entrance into the palace. Those people were also members of Tian Qi Shui, but they were from Tian Shu Feng. Amongst the disciples of Tian Shu who had gone to the mysterious world, none of them had come back alive. The reason wasn't that they had been killed by others, but had suffered from internal tensions instead. They couldn't stand that those who had killed Tian Shu's people had violated the rules of Tian Qi. They had to be punished. However, why would they get punished? In the mysterious world, those Tian Shu disciples wanted to kill Lin Feng and his friends. That was what had caused Lin Feng's fury in the first place. Nobody knew exactly what happened in Tian Qi, but the offenders wouldn't admit their mistakes. Now, some people from Tian Shu were circling a palace. Lin Feng flickered nearby, running in their direction. Lin Feng decided to ignore the crowd around the palace. He was surprised but decided not to bother with it. They turned their heads. They knew Lin Feng's name but they had never seen him. Therefore, they didn't recognize him. They just watched as he streaked across the sky towards the palace. Jun Mo Shi, Huang Fu Long and the group were inside the palace. They all stood up and looked delighted to see Lin Feng again. Lin Feng. Lin Feng. Everybody was shouting Lin Feng's name. They hadn't heard anything about him in quite a while now. They didn't know if he was still alive. They had, of course, been very worried about him. Lin Feng had made them come back without them, so they were terrified about his outcome. Lin Feng, you're insane. Why didn't you take me with you? Said Huang Fu Long smiling. Everybody walked towards Lin Feng. They looked worried as if he had come back injured. Lin Feng smiled in a warm and gentle way. He had really good friends. What a wonderful feeling to come back to. Don't worry, I'm fine, said Lin Feng smiling. Everybody nodded and asked him what had happened. Lin Feng replied with the story about how East Sea Dragon Palace had hunted him but didn't talk about the Death Valley. The consequences were too grave, he had to be careful when talking about it. So you're Lin Feng, said an ice-cold voice from the back of the room. Those who were blocking the entrance to the palace outside in the morning clothes heard Lin Feng's name and immediately came inside looking furious. Lin Feng slowly turned around and walked towards them. Those people had encircled the palace and were impolite when he first arrived. It seemed that they hadn't respected Tian Qi and its rules. Lin Feng, they are Tian Shu's people. When Bai Li Shi came back, he betrayed his own group and decided to join Tian Shu. He also denounced you and told them that you had killed Tian Shu's people. Ever since then, they've been standing around the palace every day all day, whispered Tang Yu in Lin Feng's ears. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly looked cold. What a bastard. Tian Qi allowed a group of trivial Xian-level cultivators to encircle the palace and humiliate the empire? Lin Feng asked while glancing back at the crowd. It's not that easy. They have received an order from a Tian Shu Zun cultivator, otherwise it wouldn't have been possible. Yun Fei Yang explained. Lin Feng nodded, he understood the situation now. Those people had backing from a Zun cultivator. Tian Shu's people had all been killed by Lin Feng in the mysterious world, so naturally they were furious. Now, Lin Feng was back. Chapter 839, Piss off, all of you. Lin Feng, get the hell out of here, shouted a voice furiously outside of the palace. You killed Tian Chi's people, how audacious and shameless. Get ready to die for your offense. You killed disciples of Tian Chi, that is an offense. Surprisingly, you came back. Those people all wanted to kill Lin Feng. From inside the palace, Lin Feng looked at the crowd and slowly walked towards. He looked at them in a despising way. Lin Feng, do you know the gravity of the offense you committed? Said someone pointing at Lin Feng. Offense? Asked Lin Feng calmly. Humph. Back in the mysterious world, you surprisingly killed people from Tian Chi. You killed everyone from the Tian Shu group. You violated the rules of our empire, so get ready to pay for your offense, said that person in a sharp voice while walking towards Lin Feng. Who said that I killed them? Said Lin Feng, sounding indifferently, yet his indifference contained some coldness. Bai Li Shi saw you kill them. Could it be that you're trying to make up excuses now? Because it's useless at this point. Make up excuses? I'm not, I did kill them, replied Lin Feng as indifferently as before. They all looked even more furious now. But, you're pieces of trash, so who gave you the authorization to tell me that I had committed an offense? Make Bai Li Shi come here and let's settle accounts. Pieces of trash. Those who said I committed an offense should come here and talk to me directly, said Lin Feng slowly. Could it be that you want to get your revenge now? Said the people from Tian Shu. Can't be bothered talking shit with a bunch of nobodies like you. People from Tian Shu are all sly. You plotted against me and wanted to kill me outside of Tian Shu. Back then, when I killed them and protected myself, everybody saw the incident. So if anyone thinks I committed an offense, make them come here and fight me. Otherwise, you can all piss off, said Lin Feng. How insane was this guy, telling them off like that? The only way we're going back is if we take you along, said the people from Tian Shu. Shut the hell up, shouted Lin Feng furiously. His voice emitted rumbling sounds which pierced through their ears. Immediately after, Lin Feng furiously shouted, You came here and surrounded the palace, falsely accusing me of an offense. You have gone too far. If you don't piss off right now, I will make you piss off. Are you threatening us? I am, said Lin Feng while walking towards them. His eyes looked like thunder and were filled with murder. Phew, those people deciding what to do. How brutal, now he was humiliating Tian Shu's people. I am curious to see how you will make us piss off, said the leader of the group, a cultivator of the 9th Xian Qi layer. His facial expression looked ice-cold and was filled with murderous intentions as well. Okay, I will show you. Lin Feng jumped and many shadows of him appeared. They could only see blurry shadows, unable to distinguish the real Lin Feng from those shadows. Boom, a thunderclap sound spread in the air and the wind was blowing so hard that it hurt like razor blades. That guy's hair was fluttering and his facial expression changed drastically. He randomly punched the air, hoping to get lucky. Get lost, shouted a furious voice as crackling sounds spread in the air. A terrifying strength pierced that guy's bones. A fist crashed into his chest and he was blown away far into the distance. A crashing sound could be heard along with a terrible shriek of pain. Everybody was astonished by Lin Feng's punch. Lin Feng quickly glanced back at them, and they started sweating. Since you're not leaving, it looks like I'm going to have to make you leave. Lin Feng jumped again using his agility technique, looking incredible. Boom! Lin Feng, using his agility technique, punched some more of them and blood splashed as they flew off into the distance. Boom boom boom. A terrifying storm started. Those Tian Shu people were all being punched away, one after the other. Nobody could keep up with Lin Feng nor resist his punch. Lin Feng had become too strong, he possessed the strength of the Haruka and he had eaten a demon Bodhi. Now his muscles were monstrously hard, like iron. No cultivator of the Xian Qi layer could challenge him. His agility technique, Tang Yuyu had studied that agility technique and she was already very quick, but Lin Feng was quicker. Tang Yuyu was smiling in a resplendent way. Lin Feng was so much more talented than her. They were using the same skill but Lin Feng could pull out more of its potential. How could she know that Lin Feng had studied the real and complete technique? That strength, people were speechless. Lin Feng had absolute strength and seemed capable of crushing the earth. "Do I need to bring all of you back to your door?" said Lin Feng while staring at all the people in the distance who were lying and crawling on the ground. Those people were all injured without exception and their faces looked hideous. "Lin Feng, Tian Shu will never let you off," said the crowd while leaving. Jun Mo Shi and the others walked towards Lin Feng and watched as those people left. "Lin Feng, those people came because of their friend's death. Maybe they had no right to come and blame you, but now they have an excuse," said Jun Mo Shi in a low voice. Even though Tian Chi's people were united, Lin Feng had incredible secrets that could draw people's attention. Lin Feng was Lin Feng after all. If he had been a Zun cultivator in Tian Chi, nobody would have said anything. Lin Feng's situation was different, he was strong but he wasn't a core member of the empire. Some people might say that those treasures would be better off in the hands of other people from Tian Chi. It wouldn't be long before stronger cultivators from Tian Shu came to exact their revenge. "I know. They've already gone so far, so what's the use in hiding anything," replied Lin Feng. Even if he tried to hide, he couldn't escape. No need to be polite. Chapter 840, Crushing a Tian Chi layer cultivator. Behind the palace were normal houses, they looked ordinary and quite calm. In Tian Chi, people were valued and free. They could come and leave as they wished. For example, what Bai Li Shi had done when changing his group, was allowed. Many people were coming and going. Therefore, Tian Chi appeared a bit unconventional. The three Zun cultivators didn't ask anything about what happened, they were just practicing cultivation and improving themselves. The stronger they were, the more their empire would attract strong cultivators. There was a simple-looking snow cultivator seated on the snow, he looked quite calm and peaceful. "You came back," the snow cultivator opened his eyes and saw Lin Feng walking towards him. He slightly nodded at him. "Master," said Lin Feng while nodding, it looked like he wanted to say something. The Zun cultivator shook his head indifferently and interrupted Lin Feng, "I am perfectly aware of those things. They are just proud disciples and their behavior is not the best, indeed. But you killed their fellow disciples and they want to get their revenge, it's only normal. They encircled the palace, it's incredible impolite," said Lin Feng. "Those people are always very proud, so it is normal. There are different sorts of pride. Look at Tian Chi Shui, she has completely changed because she went through some incredible experiences, she faced death and dangers. In such conditions, one will always mature. Now she doesn't act as proud as before because she knows that there are so many geniuses out there," said the old man calmly, before adding, "Lin Feng, people at the same level as you can't beat you now, but you are not acting proudly because of it. You have faced dangers and risked your life many times to get where you are now. If someone acts proudly in front of you, your pride will also be affected. It's not a bad thing, pride can make a person's potential come out. When people are proud, they will try to become stronger." Lin Feng was listening carefully and nodded. The old man's vision of life deep. "They encircled the palace and you beat them. That was the price. You taught them a lesson and I hope that they will stop acting shamelessly and start acting courageously." Lin Feng smiled wryly and shook his head. The old man's speech left Lin Feng speechless. "This time, you obtained great treasures in the mysterious world and you became much stronger. You should confine yourself to a room and practice cultivation to break through to the Tian Qi layer, said the old man. He didn't talk about Lin Feng's treasures and didn't ask him what he had found. What Lin Feng had found was his. Lin Feng was silently grateful for this. Tian Qi was a remarkable place thanks to such people. Okay, nodded Lin Feng. The old man wanted Lin Feng to break through to the Tian Qi layer and become stronger. Lin Feng needed to concentrate and practice. Then he would go back to Shuiyu once and probably back to the Black Wind Mountain. Lin Feng, get the hell out of here. At that moment, a voice could be heard in the distance. Lin Feng looked startled and cold lights twinkled in his eyes. There was an explosive strength in the atmosphere. Lin Feng glanced at the Zun cultivator who then slowly closed his eyes. He wasn't worried. Come out, that voice was echoing and the atmosphere was trembling. Tian Qi layer, Lin Feng looked in the direction of the palace and stood up. He then jumped into the air and went back to the front of the palace. The one who was calling him was a young man, a cultivator of the Tian Qi layer. He looked powerful and strong. Behind him were all the people who Lin Feng had beaten before. He's Lin Feng, said someone. The young man looked at Lin Feng and said, You killed my people, and now you told them to piss off. Tian Qi hasn't had such an insolent boy for a very long time. Did you come to avenge them? Asked Lin Feng to the Tian level cultivator. Lin Feng had a strange sensation, as if that cultivator had just broken through to the Tian Qi layer. His qi was strangely off. I will bring you back to Tian Shu so you can be judged and revenge taken, said the cultivator while smiling coldly. How will they take their revenge? Asked Lin Feng. Do you still think that you are going to live on? Lin Feng smiled, Since I'm going to die, let's fight now. Why bring me there before we are able to exchange a few punches? The young man was thinking, someone had told him that Lin Feng possessed precious treasures. You talk a lot of shit, said the young man before adding, I heard that your cultivation level wasn't that good. I will let you punch me 3 times before I start fighting. That cultivator of the Tian Qi layer could borrow the strength of the sky and earth. A cultivator of the Xian Qi layer was nothing compared to him, the gap between them was too large. However, Lin Feng smiled. 3 punches. Well, I accept your offer. Lin Feng smiled and slowly walked towards the young man. A cultivator of the first Tian Qi layer was going to let him punch him 3 times before attacking. People behind Lin Feng didn't know what to say, poor young man. Lin Feng was able to kill cultivators of the Tian Qi layer before leaving the mysterious world. Now, Lin Feng had become even stronger since then. Maybe, if the young man fought with all his strength, he could have had a chance at living. But, he was going to let Lin Feng punch him 3 times, he was simply courting death. The young man released some qi which dashed to the skies and fused together with it. His entire body was twinkling as he was calmly waiting to get punched. Are you ready? Asked Lin Feng. Come on, do you think I would take back my words in front of a cultivator of the Xian Qi layer? Said the young man furiously. He despised Lin Feng. As soon as he finished talking, a terrifying thunder sounded. The young man sensed a strong wind blow over his body. Lin Feng's fist turned black and contained a terrifying energy. Although Lin Feng's punch hadn't arrived yet, the young man could already sense the terrifying strength. Oh no, the young man's facial expression changed drastically as Lin Feng's fist was about to crash onto him. However, it was already too late. Lin Feng's punch crashed onto him, his bones cracked, blood splashed everywhere and he was immediately blown off into the distance. Tian Shu's people were flabbergasted while watching their fighter fly off. There was no difference between them and cultivators of the Tian Qi layer. He was the same, he had also been blown away. Ah! The young man gave a horrible shriek and howled like a wolf. All his bones were broken and his internal organs were crushed. If you can withstand 2 punches I will spare your life. Otherwise, get lost, said Lin Feng while jumping towards the young man. He then kicked him with his right foot and the young man's silhouette appeared far away, crashing into a mountain. Chapter 841, Together, Ah! My cultivation, a horrible shriek could be heard off in the distance. The people from Tianshu ran and appeared next to the young man. They all looked solemn as they turned around and looked at Lin Feng. Their facial expressions looked perplexed. Lin Feng had crippled his cultivation. That young man was the son of a famous Zun cultivator and Lin Feng had crippled his cultivation. When Lin Feng saw all those people look at him, he said indifferently, "The first time I told you to leave, I didn't hurt you but you've been acting wildly. You keep coming here over and over again to cause trouble, humiliate people and you even want to kill me. Everybody listen to me very carefully, I crippled his cultivation but I didn't kill him. That's only because I respect Tian Chi." "What? You're still not leaving? Does that mean you want me to continue?" said Lin Feng furiously. Ice-cold lights were twinkling in his eyes. The young man whose cultivation was crippled by Lin Feng looked deathly pale as if he had lost his vitality. He still couldn't accept the fact that his cultivation had been crippled. How cruel! His father was a Zun cultivator and he was a genius. However, because he came to punish Lin Feng, his cultivation had been crippled. Even a Zun cultivator wouldn't have dared do such a thing. "I will kill you," he said furiously. However, his voice wasn't as loud as before. No chi emerged from his body and never would any again. The Zun cultivator was quickly informed about how Lin Feng had crippled his son's cultivation. Very quickly, everybody in Tianqi knew that the Lin Feng had come back. Now there were several people going to the palace where Lin Feng was. Tianshu's people came back as well. This time they were not composed of Xian and Tian level cultivators anymore. There were many Tianqi layer cultivators whose qi was incredible, burning like fire. "Lin Feng," shouted a terrifying voice from the sky which painfully pierced people's eardrums. That voice seemed like razor blades in the sky. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the crowd in the sky. "Lin Feng, you violated the rules of Tianqi by killing Tianshu's people. Then you came back to Tianqi as if you had never done anything. Then, you injured my people and even crippled a disciple's cultivation. Do you admit your offenses?" said someone extremely loudly. That voice shook the palace. "Admit my offenses? Tianshu's people kept coming back over and over again to cause me trouble. They even wanted to kill me. According to you, if Tianshu's people caused me trouble and want to kill me, so I should let them do so," replied Lin Feng while smiling coldly. "How audacious," shouted the voice furiously. A gigantic hand appeared and attacked Lin Feng. Lin Feng dodged the attack using his Xiaoyao agility technique and disappeared from his initial location. Boom boom boom. Explosion sound spread in the air and the gigantic hand crashed onto the ground and created a crater. "You're a little cultivator of the Xian Qi layer and you dare contradict me? Do you want to die? Now, come with me to Tianshu and admit your offenses. Maybe then I will spare your life," said that Tian-level cultivator. "According to you, breaking through to the Tian-Chi layer makes you an incredible cultivator but I defeated your Tian-level cultivator. You're really shameless. If everybody in Tian-Chi were like you, Tian-Chi would collapse on itself," said Lin Feng. "You sure have a glib tongue but that won't change anything. Come with us," said the Tian-level cultivator while jumping onto the ground. This time, Lin Feng's hair and robe were fluttering in with the wind. The Tian-level cultivator's gigantic hand moved straight for Lin Feng to capture him. "Come with you," said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. A terrifying fire qi appeared in his hand and started burning. That fire was filled with a monstrously deadly energy. Boom, a handprint appeared on the fire and the fire lost a lot of its strength. However, the fire didn't disappear. "Burn!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. His terrifying fire ignited again and headed towards the Tian-level cultivator. The Tian-level cultivator was surprised. His sleeves fluttered and a strong wind brushed against his skin. It seemed like Lin Feng's fire could even hurt him. "You dare resist me," the atmosphere was filled with pressure. Lin Feng noticed that the cultivator was furious as well. His body was suddenly surrounded by a green light which shot out at Lin Feng. "Stop," someone said from the distance. Lin Feng recognized the voice though, it was the Snow Zoom cultivators. He couldn't handle it anymore. Tian Shu's people are too shameless. You dare come to my palace and cause trouble. By doing so, you don't respect me, said the voice furiously from the distance. Zoom cultivator, the crowd was astonished. A Zoom cultivator was intervening so things weren't going to end quietly. Master, Lin Feng violated the rules first. I came here to protect Tian Qi. I hope you won't blame us. Protect Tian Qi. Since when are you a protector of Tian Qi? If you want Lin Feng's life, come straight to me, said the Zoom cultivator seemingly not talking to anyone in particular. His voice was rolling in the air and snowflakes were following the sound waves. A silhouette then slowly appeared in the sky. That person's qi was much stronger than that of a Tian-level cultivators. Their qi looked enigmatic and unfathomable. Who else? Since you're all here, come to me, said the Snow Zoom cultivator. In a flash, many silhouettes appeared all around in the sky. They had planned the whole thing from the start, it seemed. Chapter 842, Who Committed a Crime? Snowflakes were falling from the sky, making things look magical. A silhouette came out of the palace, that person looked extraordinary. Their silhouette was surrounded by snowflakes but they didn't fall to the ground, instead they kept floating around them. A Zoom cultivator, a representative of Tian Qi. It seems like people from Tianji and the 6 other snowy peaks have arrived, said the Snow Zoom cultivator while glancing at the crowd, especially at the other Zoom cultivators. Brothers, why did you come here? I came here because I was wondering why Tian Shu's people were unhappy, said an old man in a green robe. He looked like he stood aloof from worldly affairs. It was difficult to know, from his tone of speech, if he really meant what he was saying. You know why I came here. Your disciple violated our rules when he killed my disciples in the mysterious world. He is a traitor, so Tian Shu's people came here to punish him for his crimes, but he crippled a Tian Shu disciple's cultivation. I will bring him back to Tian Shu now so he can be punished for his crimes, said the Tian Shu Zoom cultivator while staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, is that so? Asked the Snow Zoom cultivator while looking at Lin Feng who was standing next to him. In the mysterious world, Tian Shu's cultivators said we weren't Tian Qi's people and wanted to kill my friends and I. I want to ask the venerable Zoom cultivator of Tian Shu, what should I have done? Let them kill us, said Lin Feng indifferently while looking at the Tian Shu cultivator. You are so insolent. You surprisingly dare invert right and wrong, shouted that Zoom cultivator furiously. His terrifying voice made Lin Feng shake. Since you are always right and I am always wrong, then there is no need to argue. Okay, fine, whatever you say is the truth, said Lin Feng mockingly, which made the Zoom cultivator narrow his eyes. He then said coldly, you are very brave, surprisingly you actually made fun of me. I want to ask you, are you saying that Bai Li Shi, a member of Tian Xian, lied? You said it. Bai Li Shi was initially a member of Tian Xian and then he left the group and joined Tian Shu, didn't he betray Tian Xian? Do you mean that someone who betrayed his own group is more entitled to say the truth than someone else, said Lin Feng while smiling in a cold way. Indeed, Bai Li Shi is a traitor and lied. He betrayed the others for Tian Shu and wanted to kill us. How ridiculous. Tian Shu's people started first, said Junimo Shi and the others confirming Lin Feng's words. You are Lin Feng's friends and you'll just join Tian Qi together. How could we trust you? I confirm what they are saying. Tian Shu's people attacked first, said a female voice. Lin Feng was extremely surprised. It was Tian Chi Shui. You are lying. Has Tian Shu ever tried to attack you? You are traitors that kill your fellow disciples. That is obvious, said someone from the Tian Shu group. What a traitor and a coward. All you can do is hide, said Lin Feng while glancing at Bai Li Shi despisingly. Bai Li Shi came out of the crowd and glared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, you killed your disciples from Tian Shu and I saw it with my own eyes. Tian Xian's people even helped you. I couldn't stay in the same group as you all, that's why I joined Tian Shu. Lin Feng slowly walked forwards and arrived in the middle of the scene. I dare you to come near me and say that again. Bai Li Shi glanced at the people from Tian Shu and slowly walked towards Lin Feng. He then arrived in front of him and said, why wouldn't I? Bai Li Shi, telling lies to cause disharmony between Tian Xian and Tian Shu, that is the biggest betrayal. Such an offense is unforgivable and the only punishment is death, said Lin Feng whose eyes were filled with murder. Lin Feng didn't even look at him. He looked at the Zun cultivator and said, since we all have different views on the matter, I would like to ask you, who is the disciple we can trust the most among the 7 snowy peaks? You Tianji of the Tianji snowy peak, said the Zun cultivator indifferently. Everybody agreed. Yu Tianji was the young leader of the Tianji snowy peaks. Besides, he had an outstanding talent. He would, someday become a real leader in Tianji. Okay, said Lin Feng while jumping forwards. Bai Li Shi's facial expression changed drastically. He wanted to escape but a gigantic hand grabbed his throat causing his eyes to almost pop out of their orbits. Lin Feng was audacious and insane. Lin Feng dared act that way in front of the Zun cultivator of Tian Shu, let alone everyone else. Insolent, shouted the Zun cultivator furiously. Lin Feng didn't fear him, he looked at him and said, you Tianji arrived already. We won't have to wait for more than a second, so there's need to be that impatient. When Lin Feng finished talking, a silhouette appeared in the sky. It was Yu Tianji and he was surrounded by starlights. Tianchi layer, the crowd was astonished and staring at Yu Tianji. No wonder he was predestined to become a leader in Tianji. Before the mysterious world, he was unable to break through to the Tianchi layer. And now, it had been only a few days since he came back from the mysterious world and in such a short time he broke through to the Tianchi layer. What a genius. Lin Feng was just as surprised as everyone else. Yu Tianji nodded at Lin Feng and to the Zun cultivator. Tian Shu's people really attacked Lin Feng and his friends in the mysterious world. Lin Feng just defended himself, said Yu Tianji and then slightly bowed. Starlights twinkled around him as he disappeared. It seemed like he was practicing cultivation and while practicing, he had heard what was going on over there. Bai Li Shi, you wanted to create a disharmony between Tian Xian and Tian Shu, you are the traitor. You wanted to weaken Tian Qi and this is an unforgivable offense so you must die. Shouted Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng was really going to kill him. Traitors of Tian Qi must be killed without mercy, shouted Lin Feng furiously. Crackling sound spread in the air as a fire ignited and burnt Bai Li Shi. Do you have any last words, said Lin Feng while looking at the Tian Shu Zun cultivator. His facial expression looked hideous and he said, even if I was wrong about the mysterious world, what is your excuse for having crippled my son's cultivation? If I, Lin Feng, brought people to Tian Shu like you did, how would you react, replied Lin Feng indifferently. The Zun cultivator was speechless. If Lin Feng had brought people and surrounded his palace, he wouldn't have just told them to go away. Things would have been much more complicated than that. He had broken through to the Tian Qi layer and acted impolitely. He came here to humiliate everybody and on top of that, wanted to take me back to Tian Shu to kill me. Not to mention he said I could punch him 3 times in front of everybody. I just punched him twice and crippled his cultivation. You are furious now, so you're trying to find excuses to accuse me of something. I can't say anything in return, said Lin Feng. It was a humiliation for the Zun cultivator. They had all gone to go there to kill Lin Feng, a cultivator of the Xian Qi layer, but he had crippled the Tian-level young man's cultivation in 2 punches. And now a Zun cultivator was arguing with Lin Feng, a cultivator of the Xian Qi layer. The crowd was astonished as well. Lin Feng didn't sound like he felt guilty at all. It was Tian Shu's fault. They had died and it was their problem now. Very good. Surprisingly, you are blaming Tian Shu as if I hadn't educated my disciples properly. However, since you killed lots of my disciples, I will still take you back to Tian Shu for a few days, said the Zun cultivator after remaining silent for a few seconds. He still wanted to take Lin Feng back to Tian Shu. You're humiliating yourself and everyone else in Tian Qi. I joined Tian Qi because of the harmony in the empire and for the empire to rise up. I want Tian Qi to become powerful and famous in the region. However, you are trying to make the different groups of the empire divide, and thus disappointed me. If everyone were like you in Tian Qi, the empire would be in great danger. Chapter 843, Insane Swordsman. You want to teach me a lesson, said the Tian Shu Zun cultivator when he heard Lin Feng's despising tone of speech. I wouldn't dare, said Lin Feng smirking. Teachers will educate disciples and are one of the factors which make a sect or an influential group powerful. If the leaders are strong, then the group is strong. Tian Qi is rising and has started to become very influential in Ganyu. Those who control Tian Qi devote their lives to making the empire strong. If the empire remains harmonious, we will never collapse. Tian Ji is the biggest peak and the leader of Tian Qi is the leader Tian Ji. As such, he must be infinitely powerful. Besides, Yu Tian Ji is a disciple of Tian Ji. Even though there were tensions between he and I in the past, in times of danger, we helped each other out because we cared about Tian Qi above all. Only a few cowards without principles like Tian Shu's people went to the mysterious world to take treasures for themselves and hurt Tian Qi. After coming back to Tian Qi, I finally understand why the Tian Shu disciples are like that. Lin Feng explained slowly, making the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's facial expression look worse and worse. Everybody understood what Lin Feng meant. People were secretly thinking that Lin Feng was quite audacious. The Tian Shu Zun cultivator slowly turned around and didn't look back at Lin Feng, but at the Snow Zun cultivator. You heard him. He doesn't respect me, so I will bring him back to Tian Shu for a few days, but don't worry, I will not kill him. I will teach him that he must respect Zun cultivators. The Snow Zun cultivator slightly shook his head. Tian Shu had made fools of themselves, how could he possibly let Lin Feng go to Tian Shu? I don't feel like talking much, but you're angry at Lin Feng because you think he doesn't respect Zun cultivators. Those are just words. Your cultivators came here and surrounded my palace, which is a humiliation to me. How could I let Lin Feng go away with you to Tian Shu after that? The Snow Zun cultivator's eyes flashed. Tian Qi had existed for so many years and no tensions ever existed. But as Lin Feng had said, they hadn't faced danger before. It wasn't until the mysterious world where some people showed their true nature. Lin Feng killed my disciples and he is at the root of all our problems. I admit that my disciples haven't been respectful towards you, so I will teach them respect. If you want to help me educate them, I will be happy to receive your help. However, I will still take Lin Feng back to Tian Shu, said the Tian Shu Zun cultivator. The Snow Zun cultivator didn't say much, he just shook his head. Taking Lin Feng away was impossible. You want to create a war between Tian Xian and Tian Shu? As a leader, what are you thinking? Shouted the Tian Shu Zun cultivator, which upset all the Tian Xian members. Create tensions between the two groups? I thought that Zun cultivators in Tian Qi were benevolent. I wouldn't have thought that some Zun cultivators would act like normal people and would act greedy, sly and shameless, said Lin Feng while smiling coldly. Tian Shu's people caused troubles because they wanted Lin Feng's treasures. Now, they were accusing Tian Xian of causing trouble. How audacious, shouted the Tian Shu Zun cultivator at Lin Feng. The atmosphere froze and he released an invisible energy shot straight at Lin Feng's head. Weak cultivators couldn't even sense it. Lin Feng suddenly used his broken soul and his bronze bells to protect himself. The bronze bells resonated and Lin Feng's body shook violently. He was even pushed backwards of a few steps. Gotcha! Lin Feng fell down on the ground. Lin Feng controlled his blood circulation to stop his blood from flowing to his face, causing his face to pale. The Zun cultivator could attack people's awareness and had managed to make Lin Feng's soul shake. However, because Lin Feng practiced the broken spirit skill and the godly awareness which the Three Lives demon previously taught him, he was able to protect his awareness. However, he had to pretend that he was injured, otherwise people would believe that he had obtained incredible treasures and would want to steal them even more. You keep humiliating me over and over again. If I don't educate you, you will never respect your elders, said the Zun cultivator smiling coldly. He looked insane. However, a terrifying sword energy invaded the atmosphere when he finished talking. The Zun cultivators could only sense the sword chi as it seemed to threaten them. Xian and Tian level cultivators all felt like suffocating and were unable to move. Who's that? The Tian Shu Zun cultivator's facial expression suddenly changed. Horrible shrieks kept spreading in the atmosphere. Tian Shu disciples kept shouting one after the other as they were suffocating. Even though no wounds appeared on their bodies, they felt like blades were ripping them apart. They couldn't bear the pain anymore as they were now covered in a cold sweat and crouched down under the pressure. A little bit more pressure and they would all die. Come out, shouted the Tian Shu cultivator furiously. Thunder sounds were spreading in the air. A sword streaked across the sky and someone appeared above the crowd. That person was releasing a terrifyingly sharp sword chi which could kill everyone easily. Jian Feng Zi, what is the meaning of all of this, said the Tian Shu Zun cultivator, but deep in his eyes, one could see that he was scared. If he had had to fear only one person in Tian Xian, that would be him. That person was insane and his attacks were very frightening. In Tian Xian, there were 3 Zun cultivators and Jian Feng Zi was the strongest one. Even if Tian Xian made a mistake, you would still have nothing to do here. However, I will educate Tian Shu's disciples, I think, said the sword cultivator. His facial expression looked as sharp as a sword. Each and every single Tian Shu disciple was terrified. Jian Feng Zi, you too arrogant, said the Tian Shu Zun cultivator coldly. Arrogant, said the sword cultivator smiling. You, Tian Shu people came and surrounded my palace and act as if you had done nothing wrong. Then you want to take away my disciple, and now you're calling me arrogant. How ridiculous. Why did you come here, really? Everybody knows why. Tian Chi refused earlier already. When disciples are lucky, it's good for them to hold on to their own treasures. Now, I will teach Tian Shu's people why we can act arrogantly in front of you. When he finished talking, a terrifying sword chi fell down from the sky. Jian Feng Zi wanted to attack Tian Shu's disciples as well as the Tian Shu Zun cultivator. He wouldn't let anyone bully Tian Xian's people. Chapter 844, New Era for Tian Xian. A terrifying pressure was emerging from Jian Feng Zi's body which oppressed the crowd under him. It seemed like his entire body had turned into an indestructible sword and that nothing and nobody could stop him. A man like a sword, his sword chi seemed infinite all around him. He's going to attack, the crowd panicked. Jian Feng Zi of Tian Xian was surprisingly going to attack the Zun cultivator of Tian Shu. He was fearless and insufferably arrogant. The Zun cultivator of Tian Shu had humiliated Tian Xian, and now he was going to show him and his disciples that such behavior was intolerable. The Zun cultivator of Tian Shu pulled a long face as his qi was shaking. He came to punish Lin Feng but hadn't thought that Jian Feng Zi would come out even if he attacked. Good, very good. The Tian Shu Zun cultivator's facial expression became cold. In a flash, a terrifying blood qi became palpable in the air. Cultivators of the Zun qi layer could turn their blood into a blood spirit, and they could use blood strength to transmit it from generation to generation over thousands of years. His blood qi was now dashing to the skies. At that moment, the crowd could sense the blood qi of the Tian Shu Zun cultivator. It felt like it would spill all over the region like an ocean. Crrr. Crrr. Some subtle sound spread in the air. Jian Feng Zi still looked like a peerless sword. A dazzling light appeared above his eyebrows. It was a sharp silver sword that shot straight for the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's head, right between his eyebrows. People's hearts were pounding, they gulped down but their tongues were too dry. How insane. Everybody had heard of Jian Feng Zi's name, T.N. Feng Zi equals insane, Jian equals sword, but they had never thought that he was this insane. His sword was extremely sharp and he was aiming at the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's awareness. Such attacks were even scarier than physical attacks. Such an attack could make the soul fly away or scatter into pieces. Argh, the Tian Shu Zun cultivator roared violently. A dazzling light emerged from his body. Jian Feng Zi had gone too far. A vast ocean appeared in front of the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's eyebrows. It looked like a tsunami and it headed straight towards the sword. At that moment, many people were shaking violently. If they had been the targets of such attacks, their souls would have been crushed instantly. The sword penetrated into the water and crushed wave after wave without faltering. Between the eyebrows of the Tian Shu Zun cultivator, dazzling lights kept twinkling. He closed his eyes and condensed his awareness in order to block the sword. A gigantic wave emerged with a crash. His incredible awareness made the crowd shiver. Their ears were buzzing as if there were millions of ants in them. Everybody was agonizing and were barely able to stand. Gigantic waves kept emerging out of the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's body and the dazzling sword finally began to slow down. Humph! Jian Feng Zi groaned as thunders came out of his mouth. Dazzling lights appeared between his eyebrows again and another terrifying sword appeared. It mixed with the awareness of the sword which was in front of him. A terrifying pressure oppressed the whole crowd and their souls seemed to fly away. On top of that, the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's wave was destroyed again. The Tian Shu Zun cultivator started shaking and his entire body was covered with cold sweat. Even though his eyes were still closed, his facial expression was the proof that he was struggling. The sword cultivator looked as cold-headed as before and his facial expression looked just as sharp. He jumped forwards and the pressure was as unbearable as before. His dazzling lights invaded the entire atmosphere and his infinite sword energy shot at the Tian Shu Zun cultivator. Ah! A terrible shriek spread in the air. The crowd only saw that blood was spilling out of the Tian Shu Zun cultivator's eyes, nose, and ears. He's insane, he's completely mental. The crowd was still suffocating. Did Jian Feng Zi want to kill the Tian Shu Zun cultivator? At the same time, the crowd was also surprised by his strength. Even the Tian Shu Zun cultivator was no match for him. Boom boom. Incredible amounts of qi kept crashing on the Tian Shu Zun cultivator, making him fly away. His body crashed on some Tian Shu disciples violently. He couldn't stand up anymore. He opened his eyes and looked furious. With both his hands, he pushed the Tian Shu disciples away and stood up. He coughed up some blood after which he looked even paler. The great and majestic Tian Shu Zun cultivator bullied my Xian-level disciple, how incredible. You're really shameless, you've humiliated Tianqi. If you were not a citizen of Tianqi, I would kill you right now. If Tianshu has anything to say, send Tianshu Zi to talk. You are worthless, all you can do is bully an ordinary disciple, said Jian Fengzi in a despising tone. The Tianshu Zun cultivator's face looked hideous. He was a Zun cultivator, but he was humiliated so badly. He had just lost face. Jian Fengzi even said that he wanted to kill him, but because they were citizens of the same empire, he didn't. How aggressive and violent, thought the crowd. Jian Fengzi really was insanely violent. If the Tianshu Zun cultivator made him fight seriously, maybe he would have really killed him. Lin Feng is lucky because Jian Fengzi is protecting him. If Jian Fengzi hadn't helped him, he would already be in Tianshu, thought some other people. The snow and the sword cultivators were both protecting Lin Feng. They even humiliated Tianshu and injured their Zun cultivator. They wouldn't be able to take Lin Feng with them, the most outstanding disciple of Tianxian. Jian Fengzi is right, make Tianshu Zi come here. Otherwise, your disciples will stay in Tianxian, said someone else in the distance. Flames were burning in the air as another silhouette appeared gradually. It was the third Zun cultivator of Tianxian, the fire Zun cultivator. At that moment, he was bathing in flames in the sky, but his facial expression didn't look warm like his flames. He was staring at the crowd from Tianshu. You surrounded our palace and made trouble out of nothing, then your Zun cultivator bullies my disciple and tries to attack his awareness. How awe-inspiring, right? If Tianshu Zi doesn't give me an explanation, all the Tianshu disciples will stay here and I will take care of them, said the fire Zun cultivator aggressively. Jian Fengzi wasn't the only one who was furious. In the past, Tianxian had been bullied a lot and it was finally enough. Lin Feng had brought his friends into the mysterious world and solicited many geniuses. They had all obtained great treasures and were all talented. Now Tianxian was rising thanks to them and nobody would bully Tianxian's people anymore. You went too far, said the Zun cultivator of Tianshu while staring at the three Zun cultivators of Tianxian. He looked furious. Jian Fengzi had injured all the cultivators of Tianshu and had injured his awareness. His soul was even injured. Now the Sun Zun cultivator appeared and was bullying them again. He even wanted to keep the Tianshu disciples in Tianxian. We went too far. You must have a bad memory. Did you forget who came here and bullied us, said the fire Zun cultivator aggressively. He seemed to have become a different person from before. In the past, Tianshu's people used to act extremely aggressive at Tianxian. Now, the three Zun cultivators of Tianxian were protecting Lin Feng because they thought highly of him. A new era had started for Tianxian.